You are live. Good evening, people. How are we? Let's see how much lag we've got between here and YouTube. Do, do, do. 14 seconds, 15, 16. About 20 seconds lag. Yeah. Well, the audio sounded good up there. So, good evening, everybody. How are we? What a beautiful day it's been today. One little rain shower, other than that, nice sun. Good evening, Jenny. Stitch. Obviously, the lovely Mrs. W in the background there. You look a bit cockeyed, actually. Is that the camera?
Yeah, no, I was thinking that myself.
What the fuck's going on there?
Because I'm leaning over that way.
Yeah, no, the window's not level. Oh, well.
Looks level enough on there, darling.
Well,
Whoa,
you're on
wow.
there anyway.
No, that's more cockeyed.
Oh, well, it'll do. Well, good evening, all 7 of you. How are we tonight? 8. Well, it's been an exciting week so far, hasn't it? Lots going on, all the way from Tommy's rally last Saturday. I'm not going to call it a protest because it wasn't. It was actually just a march. Missy, good evening, my dear. Yep, both good here. I've got a bit of an evil arse, but that's because I've been eating a lot of cheese. Shit, but glad to see everybody. Well, what's the matter, Stitch? Yeah, we're all good here, Jen. All good here. A little bit tired after the late night, early morning pap stream on Sunday. I didn't expect to stay up that late. That apparently did go on for an hour or two after I dropped out. But I will say on that, be careful. Good evening, Marine. Anything medical, be very, very careful what you say. As some of you probably know by now, Dan's stream has been taken down off of YouTube and he actually received a strike under the guise of medical misinformation. So where they got that from, I don't know. We were talking about some medical stuff, so they could have picked on anything and just used that. But good evening, Moo. How are you, bud? It's cool. Looking forward to a laugh. Well, not much of a. Well, I suppose there is a bit of a laugh if you consider Nigel Farage and getting milked by the mainstream media and what have you, calling her a high class hooker, but basically she just worked the internet on OnlyFans, I think. But there are pictures out there. He has met her before. So. Good evening, Phil. Yeah, all good here, buddy. All good here. As I say, just a little bit tired, but we'll see how far we get with it all tonight.
Okay, I can't see Phil or Marine sat one too. Oh, there's Marine. Oh, there's Phil.
Phil's above Jenny.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's
Tommy's march last Saturday. Now, I've made no bones. I don't particularly like the guy. Good evening, Stuart. But I do believe in what he's saying, and I do believe that he's saying the right things. Just because I don't like somebody doesn't mean I can't agree with them. For those that have gone and watched the documentary he did, it's an hour and a half, but it's well worth watching. He did bring up some very, very good points with all the proof there as well. It was nice to see Lesbian Nana got a mention in there, along with some others. And the fact that he was calling out mainstream media, I wasn't actually expecting that. But, again, we've always known how they do that. We know they manipulate it. We know they're government controlled. And basically everything is controlled through Ofcom, which now is under government control, as we've seen. But yeah, hopefully it's opened a few eyes. There's another one coming up the 27th of next month, but legislation could change, laws could change, as I believe the government will have changed by then. So what's going to happen there? Anybody's guess. But at the moment, both sides are basically, it's a slag fest. They're not coming out with anything new, as the debate showed last night, for those that could be bothered to watch it. I did. I wanted to hear what they had to say. There was nothing really new. As I said in the video today, Roland just totally showed his arrogance with the way he was carrying on there, shouting over everybody. And Starmer did a little bit of it as well, but nowhere near as much. So I will say fair play to him for that. You know, he stood back and basically let Sunak hang himself on that front. Only got 15 watching, so with what's in here, that got to mean there's somebody in the background lurking. I know one of them will be, but good evening, Karen. But yeah, it was nothing new. Sunak was called out over a few things. And as I said, it made me laugh when the audience started laughing and groaning at his antics and what he was saying. And he did look worried. He didn't have that silly grin on his face that he normally has. But with some of the polls that I've been looking at today, I believe Labour are on for a win. The only thing that Sunak said on there that was absolutely bang on, any vote that's not for the Tories is a vote for Labour. Doesn't matter who else you vote for, it will help Labour. So a lot of people are saying they're going to vote reform. I haven't quite made up my mind yet, to be honest. We haven't even registered for a postal vote, which we've got to do this week, as we're on holiday during the election. If it's a day we're fishing, then I'm not even going to bother watching it. I'll look at the result when I get home, but don't expect me to jump up and give any reports on it. Good evening, wee one. Favourite chief lurker. I knew you'd be in the background there somewhere. I knew it. There's probably one or two others that are in there for other reasons as well, but there you go. Every channel gets them. But yeah, shame about Dan's stream getting pulled, but I don't quite know what went wrong there.
The fact that he got a strike.
Yeah, it did give him, he did earn a strike over it. As I say, I talked about some medical things, but it's nothing that wasn't common knowledge, and it's nothing that hasn't been proven. So what they picked up on, there was somebody else talking about it, but I'm not going to say any names. I don't do that. I don't point the finger. Good evening, Pearson. I don't know whether is that Paul or Nathan, or are you both there?
That was normally Paul.
But yeah, it's been quite a busy week, isn't it? A few things coming out. It appears that they've allowed that total mess of a woman, Diane Abbott, to run. It's just Paul. All right, Paul. Nice one, mate. It's nice to know who I'm talking to. I like to call you by name, you know that. But welcome, buddy, as always. But yeah, I mean, YouTube is alive at the moment with all the fuck ups from the past, shall I say. I mean, how anybody could vote for their local MP knowing that they can't string a legible sentence together. Can't count.
Well, it's the 100,000,000 that are going to vote
Yeah.
for her.
£100,000,000 it's going to cost for 10,000 new coppers. Mind you, that was, 6-7 years ago. But yeah, I mean, Sunak just made... Oh, that's my arse again.
Do you have to?
I got no choice. I can't hold that in. Especially over the hospital, the NHS waiting list. I mean, that just gave me a right giggle. He's saying that we're bringing them down. And Sunak said that they've actually gone up. And then Sunak let himself down by saying, yeah, they've come down since they went up. He was just getting totally confused. Same as on the immigration coming across the channel. Oh, we're stopping the boats. No, you're not. We're still getting record numbers. Yes, it is, Karen, very smelly, unfortunately, and it sort of gets trapped between my table and me and comes straight up here, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't. It comes over here.
Well, that's all right then. You can let me know how bad it is because I've got no sense of smell, really, have I?
No.
Years of, well, not years, but some, shall we say, substance abuse when I was younger, plus with the fire. My sense of smell, and that isn't what it should be, shall I say. But yeah, there's going to be another debate between the two of them. I don't know when it's scheduled for. I did hear it could happen next week. Let gravity do its work. That's the trouble. It's gravity that's causing it, Paul. But luckily enough, there is a gap between the bottom and the back of this chair, so it has got an escape route. Unfortunately, it points directly at Mrs. W.
Don't I know it?
Up or down, yeah. Well, some people say, Karen, that I have the same amount of shit come out either end, but I won't disagree with that at times.
You mean I say you've got marked shit coming out of both ends?
Oh, and others have told me. Don't you worry, it's not just you. But now accepting. Yeah. Actually, I have got some old charcoal out in the garage I could ground up and put in a sheet.
I've got a fresh supply of air fresheners.
Yeah, you could stick one of them and one of them things on the back of my trousers, can you? But yeah, there's been a few other things coming out. I mean, some of us had heard about it. We talked about it on Facebook last week over the water pollution. After the Southwest episode of the Cryptosporidium, it would seem that the southeast coast, London, Kent, over that direction, they're having problems now with people getting ill. And it has been reported, although not widely, that there are other places around the country that are having issues as well. Yeah. Well, in her vapor thing, she does use menthol in that, so that should compensate for a little bit of it. But
It helps. Only slightly.
But yeah, the water issue, it was posted on Facebook with some maps, just how bad these outfalls are putting this stuff into the rivers and the beaches. kept your rest.
You're all right, Stuart. I've got used to it.
I have got a gas one out in the shed there, Stuart, that I used to use at work. I used it for the dust, but it has got vapor filters in it. Keeps going pink. Good evening, Gary. But yeah, I think it's a problem that's going to hang around for a while, a bit like my ass. If the weather warms up, obviously stuff breeds and grows with the heat in the water, and I think we're going to get a lot more problems with it in the summer. Once people start going on holiday, swimming in the sea, I think we're going to see quite a big outbreak of upset stomach and illnesses due to the water pollution. I think they have issued a lot more blue flags to a lot more beaches, but you can't always believe them. Where we go on holiday, there's one beach there that we do have to go past most days. It actually gives a daily readout. It doesn't just say, oh yeah, it's a blue flag beach. They will advise you on a daily basis if it's safe to go in or not.
But it has got awards for being one of the cleanest beaches.
It has got an award for being one of the cleanest beaches. But there again, there's not a lot of buildings and sewer systems there, is there really? It's not really a built-up area. Missy's stocking up on bottled water. Some of that bottled water, Missy, but even that, some of it's got an expiration date on.
That's the plastic.
Because of the plastic bottles, yeah. Butt plug will sort it out. Well, we know COVID masks don't stop farts, Moo. Scientists proved that, didn't they?
Don't stop fucking anything, do they?
No. They only filter certain bacterias and stuff. There's certain sizes. It's pink under the waterline. Is that your toilet cleaner? You got a block in there or something, Gary? I mean, it isn't that hard to actually make a homemade water filter. I have done it in the field before, using ash and charcoal and various things. I won't say it makes it totally clean, but it does help, and it will stop you drinking brown water, basically. But again, it depends what's in it, doesn't it? You don't know. I mean, the amount of shit that goes down, well, shit, excuse the pun, the amount of different stuff that goes down the sewer, you know, there's going to be stuff in there that they can't filter, they can't kill. I mean, you know, the amount of cocaine and drugs like that they've tested for and found in the sewer, and
Is that why we took coffee tastes different?
yeah. You know, dead animals get thrown in it. There could be anything in it. And it hasn't been right for years. We know that. They keep adding chemicals. Yeah. Yeah. The microplastics are everywhere, aren't they, wee one? Literally everything. They're in the sea. They're in the fish you eat. It's everywhere. They're in the air. Small particles in the air. It's the thing of modern day. We live in a disposable world, and the biggest disposable thing is plastics. They say they don't break down. Some do. They take a while, but they don't break down and disappear. They just break down into smaller particles. It's a palaver to filter distill. It is, Missy, but if it's going to stop you getting ill, I mean, personally, the only thing I would distill would be alcohol. Obviously, that would be for medical purposes. But there again, we could be distilling fuel before long, the way they're going. They're still trying to drive cars off the road. And I actually see the price of petrol still going up in a lot of places.
We used to use a Brita filter thing at work before it went into the kettle. It does stop the kettle furring up as much if you're in a hard water area. But apart from that, I don't really know what it takes out. I didn't notice that much difference in taste.
Well, it's not going to take chlorine and sulfate and shit like that they put in the water supply now. And don't forget,
takes things like that. So.
A lot of water is supplied through plastic pipes now, so you're going to get microplastics in there. In fact, I do know a few buildings that have still got the old lead water pipes in. We used to rip them out. When I was working at Heather's office a few years back, I had to replace a load of water pipes and stuff, and they were all still running on lead, believe it or not. Limestone, yeah, is quite a good filter, Gary, actually, because it is porous. Well, that's what they used to do back in the old times, when it moved. I mean, they used to drink a lot of beer back in medieval time because it was safer than drinking the water. And if you got ill, you didn't give a shit. Yeah, I mean, the hard water areas, I mean, Cornwall used to be quite soft down in the West Country. The harder water areas are more sort of inland, aren't they? But, we've still got, we got all these other threats they're on about now. The Asian hornets, for one. Again, down on the southeast coast is the main area for them. Wonder how they got here. But again, it's scaremongering with the amount that they say they're seeing, to what they're saying about it in mainstream media. Yes, they are a bit of a threat to our honeybees and what have you, but it's not as big a threat as they say at the moment.
Well, if people report them when they see them, it won't become an issue. That's all they're asking people to do, isn't it?
Yeah. If you see them, they're big enough to, if they're nesting local, they're big enough to follow with the naked eye to see where they're going. If they've got a nest reasonably close to where you see them to, you'd certainly see them going in and out. But they can do a lot of damage to the honeybee. What was that alert for?
Wasn't Discord?
Yeah, it was. Locutus. Thank you, Locutus. You're obviously watching. Just posted the live stream in Discord. That was all. Back to the chat. I left early, Gary. I was absolutely knackered. I didn't expect it to go on that late. He said he wasn't going to go on much past midnight originally. I dropped out at 2:00 or thereabouts. He went on for quite some time after that, but all of a sudden yesterday, I think it was it yesterday or late Monday, the stream got removed, and sadly Dan got a strike. They're using the premise of medical misinformation. But we know how YouTube operates. That could have been anything. Yeah, it did go on a bit, Paul. Luckily enough, before it got removed, if I drop out early, when I get up on the Monday morning, I always drop in and have a look just to see what I'd missed, basically. Evening, Steve. And yeah, it was still up then. And I didn't realise it had disappeared until I was told on Discord. Evening, Patrick. Yeah, I knew it had been taken down by YouTube because Dan never removes any of his streams, same as me. You know, we'll stand by what we say, but because it's been taken down, I couldn't go back through it to see what was said medically. I don't know whether Dan can, whether he has another recording of it somewhere, but you know what YouTube are like. We can't argue with the faceless cowards. You know, they think they're gods. But it just gives me a bit of a giggle thinking there's probably one of their little censors sat there under the table with his damp tissue, sticky tissue, you know, like when they remove comments. Yeah, we did talk about some aspects, Gary. So Richard, the Australian, and me, and there were one or two others. But as far as I'm aware, I only talked about stuff that I've verified, put it that way. But you know what YouTube are like. It doesn't matter whether it's been verified and there's evidence. If they say it's medical misinformation.
I think they're still singing from the same old hymn sheet. They haven't updated their rules to say it's acceptable now.
Well, they have, but Ofcom have put new ones in place, which also include, it doesn't have to be misinformation, disinformation, or anything like that. Anything that they consider misinformation, they will remove. And it won't be long before, if you dissent against anything, you'll be removed for that as well. Comments have already started to disappear for that. That's how I knew YouTube was active on Sunday night, because there was comments being removed and stuff happening that was not being done by the moderators. It was actually being done by YouTube.
Or Nightbot.
Yeah, well, we control Nightbot, but who puts Nightbot on there? Yeah, it's part of the platform. What's this? And that's now we'll leave the sective suite in July of Google and Alphabet, therefore YouTube. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things are going to be changing. And they will change again after the 4th of July, as we know, because whoever's in power will be controlling Ofcom. And if they want to activate more of the online safety bill, because nobody's going to get rid of that. That is there. That is set. It just depends on how far they use it and what parts of it they use. Yeah, I know yours, and there was somebody else as well, Gary, that was having them removed. It's that's what I said. The social media, it will eventually consume itself, and basically all we'll be left with is propaganda from the government and funny cat videos.
And my Friday Night Live?
And your Friday Night Live.
I don't allow anything like that.
But yeah, I always said this: as soon as that online safety bill passed, it's never ever going to get used for what it's supposed to be. You know, they're still looking at more powers to protect children and that on there. Well, there's more than enough powers in that safety bill to protect the kids, as it were. But a lot of it is down to parents. You know, the parents aren't watching what the kids are doing on there. And the little buggers are very clever. from a very young age now. You know, they've been brought up with the internet and Wi-Fi, and I mean, banning the kids from having iPhones, that isn't going to work. I mean, Jesus, I can remember stuff I used to hide from my parents that they never knew I had. And the kids will do it now. In fact, a lot of the kids are more disrespectful towards their parents that way than we ever were. Yep, that is another problem, Paul. Obviously, Google and YouTube like to get the police involved. They don't like it when we get them involved, but they will quite happily do it. And of course, they will help the police if the police do monitor it. They know we do. They do. And if they pick something up, YouTube and Google will give them everything they need. And yeah, there is cases that have been brought up and dismissed where the police have been trying to police people's thoughts and opinions. Again, this is our freedom of speech being eroded. No, they don't, Paul. They don't. Only when they're pushed. I mean, you've only got to look at the one in Yorkshire. Now that they're protecting, I think that was more about abusing women than kids. But he was abusing kids as well, apparently, or I should say allegedly, because we don't know, because they're hiding him. But yeah, not very well, because some people did find out who he was. But the easiest way, Gary, is, yeah, they've got other ways of getting Wi-Fi, but, you know, give them their devices for a certain period of the day. Other times they get locked away.
Yeah, but you just say he's 20.
Yeah.
Slightly different to Oscar.
Yeah. When they're eating meals round here, I tell them, put your phones down, whatever you're using. You don't play on it while you're eating. But their mother is very good. She does keep a good eye on what they're doing. But you can't watch them 24/7, can you? Yeah, a lot of them get off with bail or whatever, rather than actually being sent down. Well, basically because they've got no room for them, have they? This is why they're releasing prisoners early now. They say they're not releasing any that are dangerous. Well, they don't have to, because the dangerous ones they haven't fucking locked up to start with. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, Gary. That's what I was saying, that there's so many ways around it. You know, you can get these little Wi-Fi expanders. If you're living in a hot spot and you're on the right system, you can get Wi-Fi. Most contracts, if they're on a contract, will come with a certain amount of data. Yeah, it is, Gary. The prison system is absolutely fucked, mate. And it got that way once they started privatising them, putting them out to different companies. And obviously, I will name them because they're a fucking terrible company. The what is it, 4G, 4GS, GS4, or whatever they're fucking called. They're probably the worst. G4S, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, especially with their security firms as well, the security outlets, that they're absolutely an abysmal company. Yeah. They've room for petty criminals. Yeah. Sam Melia's one of them. Yeah, Serco were just as bad. We were. Absolutely. You know, these are the main two that are running the immigrant camps and the hotels. And it's quite plain to see that some of the ones they're employing are the immigrants themselves that have got paperwork that says they can work
Must
from the
speak
government.
same language.
And half of them can't speak fucking English. They haven't got a clue about the laws. I think the funniest one I saw was one Tyrant Finder filmed just around the outskirts of Bristol, where two little appeared to be immigrants with their badges, the SIA badges, stood there holding hands and walked up the drive holding hands. Yeah, that's not the thing you've got to portray when you're in security. Well, this is what I said, Wee, about the amount of money that Sunak's promising. Now, they haven't got the money to pay for anything he's promising. Yet they'll fork out 10 million a day to house the immigrants, which they could get rid of. It would be a lot cheaper. But he's making promises of billions here, millions there, but he's also saying he's going to cut taxes. So where are these millions going to come from? I mean, if I'm honest, I think Putin's doing it the right way in Russia. Yes, they need money to fund their war effort. It's going to be a war that's going to go on for some time. But he's going to tax the mega rich. He's not going to tax the poor people. He's not going to tax the normal working man and woman. He's going to actually tax those that can afford to pay more. And that's what should be going here. Like what can I use? The water companies that I talked about just now. Now they make absolute fortunes, and they're not putting it back into the system. So tax the bastards. Give them a bit of tax relief if they do spend it on it now. But even that to me is wrong because they've had more than enough out of the system. Same as electricity and power companies.
Is it somebody using your name, Paul?
No, I've never been inside or near the place. That's just poor. That's just pure harassment, Paul. Yes, exactly, Weewan. Exactly. There are a lot of poor in Russia. A lot of it is very, very substandard. But when you look at some of their cities, they're quite rich. They're very affluent. Yes, Missy, this is the thing that they're not even trying to get rid of them. The Rwanda plan's a waste of fucking time. We knew that right from the start. Absolutely. Within, I think it was a week of it all being proposed, Rwanda was saying they can only handle a few hundred. Well, we got more than that coming in every day. And it's not just across the channel either. They are coming in other ways. They are giving some of them paperwork over in the EU in certain countries, which means they can travel illegally, either be ferry, through the airports, whatever.
Me too, Missy.
That's it, Missy. I mean, most people in this country, hard-working people, can't afford to would even be able to afford to go and stay in these places if they were open to the public.
They can have Roger.
Yet they fuckers can stay there for nothing, paid for by the taxpayer. And, this is what I said about the debate yesterday. He's saying, oh, yeah, we're going to stay in the ECHR. and work with our European partners. Well, it's them European partners that are fucking sending them here because they don't want them. They're letting them come through their countries so they can get here, so they don't have to deal with them. If that's what he calls working with his partners, then but with the way it's looking, even some of the Tory MPs and what have you now, that they're leaving in fucking droves. They know it's coming. I really hope and I believe that he doesn't stand much of a chance. But it's, are we going to be better off? You know?
No.
Yeah, exactly. We wouldn't. I mean, I've seen videos, recent ones from the Ukraine. All the nightlife is still going on. You know, the nightclubs are up and running. And this is in the cities that are supposed to have been hit by rockets and shit. And I reckon there's a lot of conning going on there. There really is. A lot of smoke mirrors, propaganda. Yeah, this is why I don't do auditing and stuff, Paul. I mean, the only time I've ever filmed the police since the well, it was during lockdown, and that was only because someone was getting harassed, and I took it upon myself to start filming them, and I ended up with more of them round me than the bloke that they were trying to harass did. I had 2 dealing with him. I had to deal with about, I think it was 7 of them.
Well, you were a bigger threat.
Oh, I was a bigger threat. I was dangerous because I had a camera and I knew the fucking law. But your man that they were harassing, he did come up to me afterwards after we walked off and thanked me for filming and thanked me for staying there to film rather than walking away when the police were harassing me. He said he felt a bit safer, and he said it did give him that little bit more courage to argue back with them. And in the end, they couldn't issue him with a fine, as we pointed out to him. He'd done nothing wrong. So it was just pure harassment. Oh, what have I got coming in up here? Sorry, guys, I've got about 4 windows open in different things. And I do get things late, shall I say. Well, there's no comment there, so whatever comment you put on that post on Faceache, Paul, Faceache aren't allowing it, looking at that. Unless it just needs refreshing. Hang on a minute. Nope, it's not showing. But again, Facebook, their censors have been at play as well. I did post the video up of the peaceful stabbing in Germany. That's disappeared from everywhere. But if anybody wants a copy, I do have a copy. I'll quite happily send it by a PDF file on the email or something. But yeah, that's been took down. But there was a video of it on YouTube I noticed yesterday. I dare say that will disappear. But why hide something that has actually happened? You know, is it because they don't want people being frightened of these radicals? Yes, we would. He's a badass, and he takes on the fact checkers every time. And the funny thing is, they don't argue about it, do they, either? Because they know they can't. Yeah, that is one of my goals, to upset them little shits as much as I can. I will open the panel up in a bit. if anybody wants to jump up. But like I say, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep going tonight. I mean, at the moment, my eyes are fine. They're just watering a little bit. But yeah, yeah, big bag, hairy ass ex-biker frightens the fact checkers. But they are. I mean, they claim they're independent fact checkers. They're not. They're just people's opinions. They get paid for their opinions, and many times I've proved them wrong. Yes, okay, they're right with what they say. There's no evidence to point to that fact, whatever it is. But on the other hand, there's also no evidence to say that it isn't right. So basically, it's just their opinions.
You just confuse them because they go, well, I thought that wasn't true, but oh, maybe it is.
But yeah, it's just a way of dealing with the idiots.
Confuse the algorithm.
Oh, I can do that. I confuse myself more than anything.
Oh, we know.
But there again, with the interference on the internet and hacking and stuff like that. I mean, look at London with the NHS being hacked. I mean, literally, that could be just one person who knows what they're doing, have gone in there and they've totally screwed up the system for the NHS for a day because they can fix it pretty quick. But that was enough. That's probably put hundreds off of getting an operation or being treated that day. And this is what every fucking system, the NHS, the government, the police, everybody is reliant on the internet. Now, if someone can screw the internet up, they're bollocksed. They can't function. Heather brought up a very good thing yesterday when we were talking about it. Now, one of the things that they said it screwed up was blood. Because the bags of blood, the bags of plasma, whatever they're using, they're all barcoded. They've all got these QR codes and shit like that on them. Whereas before, in big letters across the bloody bags, it had what type, what it was for, what it had been done to it, where the staff could actually read it on the physical bag. Now they can't because they need to scan it to look into it. Oh. Yeah, a lot of it, Paul, is their ego as well. That their egos overtake evidence and the law in many times. Grumpy Sapper, good evening. Welcome back, buddy. That is the biggest problem with the police. Now, we saw this with the rally, the march in London Saturday. There was a few more arrests than what they said and what mainstream media said. I proved that. I put a video up of it where the police were getting physical and violent with people for no reason. But they weren't doing it around the main rally, the main crowd. It was on the outskirts. And they used the excuse there was counter-protests, and that's why they had to block some streets off, which prevented people getting to Parliament Green. But those counter-protests, I think the biggest one had about 50 at it, and one of them only had about 30, but that stopped a few thousand or made them late getting to the actual screening, shall we say. And yeah, Tommy stood up there and praised the police for keeping in the background. Well, they were there. People say, no, there wasn't a lot of them there, but they were. If you looked at the background and some of the smaller streamers that were hanging around in the area rather than at the main show, they were there, including the TSG. And they were arresting people. But again, as I said, on a Saturday, they haven't given any numbers, and I haven't found any numbers, what the average arrest rate is on a Saturday through drunkenness, we know there's a lot more violent crime happens every day, so there's obviously arrests there. But Rowley came out. I haven't seen the actual statement yet, but he came out again and followed the lead of the mainstream media and called everybody far-right football hooligans. Well, I'm not far-right, and I'm certainly not a fucking football hooligan because I can't stand the fucking game. I will not have it on the telly. I will not watch a game. I don't give a shit about it. So, am I a football hooligan because I'm far-right? No, far from it. There were people there that were far-right. There's always going to be. But most people aren't. Yet the media still keep portraying anybody that dissents and complains about things like that. We're automatically far-right. So I say, right, they're branding us far-right. As far as I'm concerned, the way they're putting it, they're far-left. Yes, Gary. Yes, we won. We just want what is right. We're not far right. We just want what is right. And the police just aren't doing their jobs right.
We just believe in our country and want it back.
Yes, Grumpy. Supper. I mean, you know, we've seen, how many times have we seen? I mean, that silly bitch, Diane Abbott. It's only white people that can be racist. No. Far from that. Ethnic minorities can be just as racist as we can.
She's proved she can.
Well, yeah. So many others. You know, I can remember we had a couple of coloured lads at school, and they were great friends of ours. We all got on brilliant. Yes, we used to take the piss out of them, but they used to take the piss out of us just as much, and it was all treated as the way it was meant, as a joke. I mean, one of their favourite ones, no, get this, someone will probably call me racist because I'm saying this about white people. One of their favourite ones, and I haven't heard it for a long time, was white people are like poodle shit. It's usually white and it's usually smelly. Yeah, that was one that I can remember, and I used to laugh at it, you know. But even if you've got, say, coloured or Asian friends that you do get on with, technically you could be arrested for having a laugh and a joke with them. Although both sides accept that joke, you could still be classed as a racist and arrested for it. Yeah, we're the white honkies, aren't we, Missy? It's just, and Sunak let him. He said he was going to stop all this wokeness, and all he's done is increased it. And he was saying about the education system. Well, we're making reforms there. We're going to stop all this gender mistreatment and shit like that. We're not going to change the law, but we're going to reaffirm the law. And your sex will be based on law, but that doesn't interfere with your gender, believe it or not. So in law, you're either male or female, but you still can identify yourself as another gender. And the police are still recruiting under that. Especially the Essex police. And that I can, yeah. Oh, pardon me. Where is it?
The Twycross chimps, Gary.
Twycross chimps.
Twycross. It's a zoo. It's a zoo not far from here, where the chimps were.
I mean, you've got that.
Translander.
I mean, you read through that. And this goes on till 2025, so this goes right through till next year. Increase the number of black, Asian, minority, ethnic officers and staff to be a far more reflective of the economical active population of Essex. Nothing to say whether you're the best ones for the job, whether you can do the job. That says you are actually could be employed on your race and colour. Increase the proportion of black, Asian and minority ethnic female colleagues into specialist roles and leadership positions. So they're going to take people straight away and put them in roles of leadership again. Doesn't say anything whether they're capable of doing the fucking job. Improve the confidence of officers and staff to self-declare sexual orientation, disability and religion to better the understanding and reflect the diversity of the force. Again, no, doesn't matter what they are, who they are, where they're from. If they're the best person for the job, they should get the job. Not based on colour, race, sexual orientation, or anything else. Again, increase the proportion of people who choose to declare their ethnicity or other data relevant to diversity and inclusion. Now, what the fuck does that tell you? You know?
I identify as a minority. I want a job.
Yeah, Gary, this is what they're saying they're doing away with, and they're not. Yeah. Well, I reckon I'd stand a chance if I go back to my original definition, and that was the Jedi Druid Buddhist, who's purple.
With one eye and one horn.
One eye and one horn, the purple people here. That was a Sheb Woolley record, that was.
I know.
Well, you know. And that had nothing to do with race or ethnicity.
I know. You said purple.
Yeah, you could say that, wee one. There's a Brummy, white ethnic minority.
It's getting that way.
Yep, the golly badges, they got banned. In fact, I don't think eBay have allowed them to be sold for some time now, although people do collect them. Yep, they used to be the dolls. And you can't even call them that on here because YouTube will cream their fucking pants over it. I mean, my sister had, believe it or not, and I'm going back to, probably mid to late 60s. One of her dolls was actually a black doll.
I had one.
And she used to call it Bobo for some reason. I used to class it as an air rifle target as I got older, and that's what it got used for. But that wasn't racist because I shot more of the white ones than I did that one. Yeah, but Gary, come on, the stuff they used to give away in cornflakes. I mean, that was the main thing years ago at the breakfast table, wasn't it? See what toys in the box and read the box. You didn't have your phones to read. Good evening, Paulette. I mean, I can remember, what were they called? Golden Nuggets. There used to be a little cartoon book in every box that you could sit and read. Yeah, there was always something on a cereal box to read. Yeah, you had well, there was only 3 of us towards the end, but what comment, Missy? What you on about? I haven't seen nothing there that takes offence.
Golly isn't offensive. It was the other part of the name that was the reason
Yeah.
for the offence.
And the thing was that they were their own toys originally. That's where the golly came from. Klondike Pete, that was it.
Right?
Klondike Pete in the Golden Nuggets breakfast cereal.
You do like to go back into history, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
It's because you can't remember what you did yesterday.
I didn't see what you put about the doll, Missy. What did you put about the doll? We had one, some golly badges. No, not at all. That wasn't offensive. What's up with you, woman?
It was more the fact that it was akin to the likes of the minstrel show.
Yeah, the black and white minstrels but that you again, that was the same as the original drag acts, wasn't it? That was part of entertainment back then.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you what, Gary, probably at my mum's house, which I wasn't allowed in before it was sold, up in the loft, there's probably a lot of stuff like that because they always used to get thrown in a box. Never used to get thrown out. Good evening, CJ. Yeah, there are still the minstrel films get showed.
With a warning.
Think about it. One that's on at the moment. It ain't half hot, Mum. Michael Bates. He was blacked up for the show or browned up for the show. You know, and that's rerunning now. You've got Love Thy Neighbour went for a rerun. You got Alf on there, and yeah, he's still giving it shit. That's still rerun on TV. You know, there's a lot of things on there. All right, Flyby. Good evening. But yeah, you know, there's a lot out there, but people aren't complaining about it. You know, why aren't they being complained about? Why aren't they being pulled down by Ofcom?
Because they have a warning at the beginning of them that they may cause offence, but it was the attitudes of the time.
Yeah, mind your language, Missy. It was a comedy, but there wasn't really anything offensive in that. Even now, that I would call really offensive. Yes, Blazing Saddles was right on the limit, and yes, it was rerun the other night. But in fact, Mel Brooks, I mean, I don't know whether you've ever seen History of the World Part 1 and Part 2. There was quite a lot in those two films that could be classed as offensive to different races and creeds.
But it was attitudes of the time.
Yeah. You know, it's... Oh, what's this coming through? So I keep getting messages from people that don't watch on YouTube, so they don't know I'm live, so they keep trying to send me messages on there. But I don't normally have it open as a rule.
Well,
yes, Copley Sapper. Exactly.
And things like Love Thy Neighbour started out as the guys going, yeah, I don't want a darkie living next door, an end quote. But they ended up being friends. It showed that you could get on with other people from other countries and or other towns that were a different colour, but there were still people. It was a good story at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Grumpy Sappo with Huggy Bear. Well, the thing is, yeah, Sergeant Bilko. Yes, it was boily. People took it as banter and humour. Nothing's changed. All it is that people, the woke side of it, have taught themselves to take offence to it. As I always say, as many others do, you can't give offence, you can only take it.
But is it people taking offence, or is it people saying you can't say that because someone might take offence? Because that's what I hear.
Yeah.
You can't say that because someone might be offended. You must do this.
Do you want to come and sit over here?
Do you want me to go and sit upstairs?
Yeah, because then I can turn you off. That's what you tell me on your streams.
I'll shut the fuck up then, shall I?
No. But no, she's right with what she's saying. Absolutely right. It's probable cause. What the police do now is the same as what they do. It's called a pre-crime. They anticipate that you could commit a crime. One incident in London, I think it was last week, or it might even have been last weekend, where a couple of coppers decided they were going to stop and harass and search someone, claiming he looked at them funny. Well, what you're supposed to do, look at the floor when you walk past the copper? Evening, Brian.
Yeah, you kowtow. You have to kowtow and doff your hat and pull on your forelock.
Yes, Brian, exactly. I mean, you look at how many countries now have taken on board Islam that were far better off before that came along to their country. Not just picking on Islam. There are other religions and races that have done exactly the same, but that is the main one. Lots of censors now. Fear of arrest, cause of it. Well, I've never been politically correct, wee one.
Sorry.
Never.
I move funny and it hurt.
Well, don't move then. It's simple.
No, it hurts. I've seized up. That really did hurt. Sorry.
Any excuse to quote people. Well, they enjoy going hands-on, Paul. That's the problem. Their egos push them to that. And they always think they've got to be on top. They've got to have the last word. And they will push for that. And if you've done nothing wrong, the best way is just to stay silent when they're talking to you. That just totally confuses them because you're not giving them anything to use against you. You haven't said anything. If they ask you to put your hands out, put the cuffs on, do it. Don't argue back. Don't say anything to them. And then they've got nothing to go after you for. Yeah, the thing is with me, Steve, I've always had a thing with the police. I don't like the bastards, never have. And it's very hard for me to keep quiet around them. Very hard. Not paranoid, but these people are proper scumbags to get the votes. Well, the thing is, Flyby, if the vote really counted and they really took any notice of it, we wouldn't be giving it.
Yes, I'm fine, Missy. I just moved funny and my body went.
No all caps in the comments, please, CJ. I've normally got a banner up saying that. It's just that YouTube flags it up to the moderators as a threat for some reason. As if you're shouting. But yeah, the silent treatment does work, and every time it has been used, unless you've actually been caught committing a crime or doing anything wrong, it just totally confuses them because they've got nothing to use against you. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, no problem, CJ. It's the same rule on Dan's. We do have one dispensation, and that's only because we know them and they've been around for a while, and they do have sight problems. And the device he uses, he does have problems seeing it with his eyes. So we do allow him to use all caps. But it's only because, as I say, YouTube flashes it up as if it's shouting, and he's just loud anyway. Yeah, but yeah, they just, for some reason, YouTube flags it up as a threat. And it's a pain in the ass when you go on some streams. If you're a mod in there, it's like bing, 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 and you have to look at every single one, and it can be a pain in the ass.
But you all right for drinks and things over there?
I will need another can shortly.
Right, I'm going to go and have a stretch because, like I say, I've...
Well, move slowly.
Thank you for your sympathy.
Well, if you do it to yourself.
I didn't do anything.
But, well, I don't. You look at how I click and ache sometimes when I move. I'm sure I've got a bad hip as well. It probably stems from when I've been battering myself about on the bikes and shit. But
I was going to say, every biker or ex-biker has got bad knees because they take the brunt of it.
But going back to this computer hacking in the cat's here on the arm of the chair, Gary.
Sorry, what did you want? Coke or orange?
Whatever comes first. I don't think there's any orange left in there, so Coke will do. Yeah, the computer hacking. Now, can you imagine? Yes, they've got into the Ministry of Defence before in outlying areas, but can you imagine if they got into the full Ministry of Defence computer? You know, they can do anything. I mean, what was that? War Games, where the AI took over. You got the Terminator scenario in the films. Yes, that's a bit outrageous, but yeah, Roger, Paul from the innocent. Oh, you kept that quiet, Paul. Happy birthday, mate. You've only got another 3 to go, and you can catch up with me then. And Heather's exactly the same age as me. There's only, I think it's 5 weeks between us. Oh, shit, he's still in Bill for the first day. Yeah, well, the same as Gary. I mean, my surname, Whittington. I mean, at primary school, I was always known as Shitty Witty for some reason. Not through anything I'd done, but it was a nickname that stuck around for a while. Yeah, War Games, Brian, with, oh, God, I can't remember her name now. I remember the computer's name, Wampa. Yeah, well, this is why I've always said AI is a bad thing, we want. It's great for making pictures and writing books and stuff like that, but it should never, ever be used in a position of power. DEFCON 5, yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't Hilary Swank, was it? I can't remember her fucking name now. I remember the film. Yeah, Terminator was a perfect example of what could happen in a very, very distant future. But, you know, you got a more realistic one now at the moment, which was science fiction that is starting to come fact, was 1984. What part of the country are you from? I was born in Berkshire, Flyby. I spent a lot of my life in Cornwall, but originally I was born in Berkshire. And the area I was born in is now Oxfordshire. Matthew Broderick. Yeah, I was trying to think of the girl's name in it, Brian. Hilary Swank came to mind, but I know it wasn't her. But yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the stuff Sunak's coming out with now, it's almost as if he's using 1984 as a fucking manual. You know, remember getting your kids to grass you up if you didn't wear a mask or you didn't stick to the lockdown principles, shall we say? Ali Sheedy, that was it. Thank you. That was in 1984, wasn't it? The kids spying on their parents, grassing them up to the authorities, the censorship of mainstream media and the news, what you could buy, where you could live. Thank you, sweetheart.
No problem.
You know, that was all in there, and that's all reality. I mean, and you can't say that things from these films of the past haven't appeared. I mean, look at Star Trek. Communicators, personal computers, talking computers, computers that think for themselves, computers that investigate things. That was all on Star Trek. The only thing we haven't got there is the interstellar travel and the transporter. Basically, everything else that was in Star Trek, we've got. Yes, Gary.
Beam me up, Scott.
1983. Knight Rider, yeah, that was just. I didn't used to watch that. It was ridiculous, that one.
We're doomed.
We're doomed. Yeah, that was Dad's Army, Karen. We're doomed, Mr. Mannering. We're doomed. It's Paul McCoy's birthday, 60 today. CJ just let the secret out.
Congratulations, Paul.
Equilibrium. Yes. What was the other one with Nicolas Cage? It was on last week, I think it was, where they were predicting pre-crime and stuff. Yeah, Space 1999. But there again, look at that. We've got 2 lots that have landed spaceships on the dark side of the moon now. You know, is this where the alien bases are? Because we haven't been able to see them. Well, they've got one of them back, so the aliens didn't keep that one. Who was the other one? That was the Chinese one, wasn't it? The Indians were the other one. They landed one, didn't they?
Was the film you were trying to think of Minority Report? Tom Cruise?
Could have been.
Because that goes into pre-crime.
Yes, it could well have been then.
Where he visualises the through the women in the water.
So CJ's lying then, is he, Paul? You're only 56. Humanity Bureau, that was the one with Nicolas Cage. Yes, sorry. That was where the ones where they were checking if the people were good enough and putting enough in society to stay in society. Thank you, Patriot. It didn't end well for any of them, did it really? Close Encounters, well, there are theories out there that, yeah, aliens have already been here. They've known about it for years. I mean, obviously that started with Roswell, didn't it, in 47, was it? But, you know, conspiracy theories like that would have been easy to debunk if the American Air Force and the American government had told the truth over it. But the fact that it was obvious that they'd covered stuff up, that's where conspiracy theories start. Good evening, Russell. And I've said this all along with our government. They moan like hell. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. You're all conspiracy theorists. Well, if we were told the truth, there'd be no need for people to come up with conspiracies. Simple, isn't it? Doesn't matter how much you lie. Doesn't matter how much you cover up. The truth is always the truth. I don't know why I've taken to drinking Lucozade Energy recently.
Because I bought it for me and the kids, and you decided it was nice.
Well, if the kids want a can, they go get here quick, haven't they? They got to get into them before I come across them. But, yeah, Outer Limits, Twilight Zone. Yeah, there was lots. I mean, I can go back way further than those. Forbidden Planet and stuff like that. But try the other side of the ice wall. No, I'm not a flat earther, Flyby. Far from it, mate. If it was a flat earth, us ex-surfers would have sailed off the edge long ago. And the cats would have pushed everybody off anyway, wouldn't they? Yeah, Paul, it's imagination. I mean, back then it wasn't anything to do with conspiracy theories or anything like that. It was pure imagination. Was it Asimov did the space trilogy? Asimov, was it Isaac Asimov? Yeah. The Empire and the Empire and State. Well, that was literally along the same storylines as what was changed later into Star Wars. The Empire and State by Asimov was almost the same sort of storyline. iRobot, exactly. You've got was it Boston Dynamics and companies like that now have got these robots, although they're not self-aware or anything like that, but they can be programmed to do some amazing things. Flash Gordon.
Gordon's alive.
Gordon's alive. Yeah, but there was never anything like that when Buster Crabbe did his version of it. That's the thing, Paul. People nowadays get persecuted for having an imagination. I mean, the biggest one with an imagination at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, is fucking Sunak. Because his is just running riot at the moment. If he thinks he can bring in half the things he wants to. Salt and Shake. Are we going back to crisps there, are we?
Yeah.
The little blue bag.
Yeah, you still get them.
Asimov was a professor of biochemistry. No, I didn't know that, Brian. Thank you. I have read The Empire and State, and the other one that he did, the trilogy on that. I got quite engrossed with it, to be honest, and I read all three back to back. But, you know, and that's what I remember reading that years ago. And then when Star Wars came along, I thought, oh, hang on. Whether it was based on it or not, I don't know. But and those crisps. But yeah, bear in mind, Europe now are trying to ban smoky bacon crisps. I did make a bad joke about it on Facebook as a possible cause for it, but apparently it's something to do with some chemical or whatever they're using in the smoked flavouring of it. Asimov lived till he was 72. Fair enough. What about the stainless steel rat? What was that? Tad obscure. Frazzles, yeah, the bacon.
Still buy those for him on a regular basis.
Yeah, I still eat those. I love smoky bacon crisps. Intermediate that cancels any space.
Okay, I'm Googling.
No, it was just the way you read there, Flyby. That was all. I don't get involved with any of that on Facebook. There's big arguments between different groups on there. Yeah, if someone's got a different opinion, that's absolutely fine. But I don't bother going into it. It's one of them things that nobody will listen to the evidence or look at the evidence properly. I just don't bother. That's why I don't get any dramas in this stream.
Russell,
I won't allow it in.
Russell, that's definitely a tad. It's obscure because I'd never heard of it.
I'd never heard of it.
Complete copy for 78p used.
War. Yeah. There is another good one out there, Gary. It was a documentary, but I believe it's a book series as well called How Propaganda Was Used in War.
Oh, there's a whole series.
I'm getting too little.
Harry Harrison wrote a series of science fiction books about Slippery Jim and the Stainless Steel Rat.
Never heard of it.
First came out in 1957.
Yeah, but boy, did they bother putting a little blue bag in? If you wanted salt in there, most households have got salt anyway.
Not when you sat in the car outside the pub.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I knew there'd be something.
A bottle of pop and a packet of crisps in the car on the way back from somewhere because you weren't allowed in the pub. Kids didn't go in pubs.
I can remember the days when you couldn't get salt and vinegar and you put your own salt and put a bit of vinegar in there. You know, all the crisps were just plain crisps back in the day. They used to scoop them out of a box and put them in a paper bag for you. And you used to have your own flavouring. This is the only platform. To be honest, Flyby, I'm only on here and Facebook. I don't do Twitter or any of those. I have got Rumble. What else have I got on there? Rumble, BitChute, but I never use them. Never use them.
See, Gary knows I'm not the only one that sat outside the pub with a bag of crisps and a bottle of pop.
Yep, real crisps. Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
And to believe it or not, when I used to get the ones with the little blue bag in, I quite often used to throw the little bag away because I preferred them without the salt. Kipper Sniffer. Sorry, mate. Didn't see you there. Good evening, buddy. Yes, it was 60s and 70s, Paul. I mean, that was, I was born beginning of the 60s. I was a 60s child, as they call them. It was very different. Very different. White or brown lemonade. It used to be red, Stuart, if I remember rightly, in Ireland. We're not actually married, Kipper. We've been together a lot of years, but we're not actually married.
But on here, I'm Mrs. W, so on here we are.
But somebody called her Mrs. W one day, and it kind of stuck.
Yeah, it was me.
Pink, yeah. Because if you wanted the clear one, you used to have to ask for limeade over there. Flyby, please don't use all caps like that in the comments, mate. They will get removed.
By me.
We don't live on a spinning ball. Well, that's your opinion, Flyby. I've got a different opinion, so leave that there. We don't have dramas in this channel or arguments. And that is something I won't even debate about because it's ridiculous.
If you start going down that road, I will just remove your comments.
Yeah. Ginger beer and pus. I was never allowed ginger beer, Russell. But I was allowed the odd shandy bass. Yeah, exactly, Paul. Shandy bass.
I love ginger beer, still do.
And I went on from that when I did start drinking beer. In fact, the first one I had was a cream label, and I didn't like the taste of that. And the old man tried me with a Mackerson, and I didn't particularly like that. The only stout I used to really enjoy was Beamish. I found Guinness a bit heavy. I found the Beamish a little bit sweeter. Top Deck Shandy, yes. Yeah. I can go back years over shit like that. Ice cream soda. Yeah, you used to get cream soda. Who used to do it? Corona. That was the main bottles of pop in the big bottles that we used to have back in them days.
I'm trying to think who the hell it was delivered. It wasn't delivered.
Corona.
Is it Corona?
Yeah.
No, don't think so.
All right.
Not around here.
Yeah, Mackerson, Gary. My gran used to, she lived to a ripe old age, and she always said it was down to the Guinness. Yeah, we once said Corona and Alpine delivered the pop. My gran used to boil a bottle of Guinness every night to get the alcohol out and drink it. How did Mrs. Doe, my missus, bring some home when they were discontinued in 2020? I have no idea, Kipper. No idea. Yeah, you can call her Mrs. W or Heather. It doesn't matter. Good evening, Nick. Dandy, no. Heather used to drink that, but she still does occasionally, but it's not something I used to drink.
What?
Dandelion and burdock.
Yeah. Still do. I looked at a bottle the other day and thought, no, it'll be good. Masons. It was Masons in Birmingham.
Oh, well, there you go. See, I never used to live in the city.
No, you didn't live in the Birmingham area. I lived in the Birmingham area, not the Oxford area.
Pop Factory in Tamworth. To be honest, I couldn't tell you what drinks are out there now. I either drink Coke Zero. Yeah, I know it's bad for me. Or me energy drinks again, which is just as bad. Dave, good evening, buddy. Oh, you're at work tonight, are you? Rasparella. Nah, never heard of that one. Cherry Aid and Raspberry Aid, but never heard of that one. Jenny Seabrook. Well, it was weekend of Heather's daughter's wedding. To get to the wedding venue, the evening do, we had to drive past the old, it's gone right, Reliant factory. Sorality, good evening. That's just a decapitated building now. Yeah, the cream soda, I mean, we used to drink it as kids, but it was never one of my favourite ones.
Oh.
Corona lemonade, and obviously Coke and Pepsi. But I can't even remember when they stopped putting actual cocaine in the Coke. I think that was way before my time. Yeah, there's a lot of things that have gone forever, a lot of things from the childhood days.
I've never heard of Ovaltine chocolate bars.
Of what?
So foul.
Ovaltine chocolate bars. Yeah. What was the other one? It was on Facebook today actually. Old Jamaica chocolate bar, rum chocolate bar.
Yeah, but it wasn't rum, it was foul.
Oh yeah. West Coast Cooler. Yeah, but I was born 61, Gary. But obviously back then, I wouldn't have known anything about it. In fact, it weren't until I was probably in my teens that I learned they actually did put it in there. Corona did banana soda. Never heard of that one. Main thing with Corona was going around collecting the bottles so you could get the money back on them. Fries chocolate. I believe you can still get that, Dave.
Can.
The mint one, and you can get an orange one as well.
And the white one.
And the
They've
white
been
one.
taken over by Cadbury's. They make them down the road now for them.
There you go. Soda. I used to actually have a Soda Stream, Gary, years ago, with the big CO2 bottles. But the syrup they used to give with it was awful. And 10 goal players for Bob. Well, I used to pay the same for a gallon of two-stroke as I did for a pint, Russell, and that was 28p. And that was including the two-stroke oil to go in it. But yeah, I drank from probably, well, I used to play darts in the pub at 14, but I gave up drinking probably about 14, 15 years ago now. I haven't drunk alcohol since. Well, I lie. I had the odd shandy when we used to come back from mountain biking sometimes, but that was it. Spanish tobacco. Yeah, the shandy stuff in the little soft packet, wasn't it, Paul? I remember that. Can't remember what it was called. Wasn't that called Jamaican something or other?
What?
The false tobacco, the toy, sweet tobacco.
Oh, what was that called?
That's what I was just saying.
Old Jamaican. No, Old Jamaican.
Old Jamaica, something like that, yeah. I'm smoking some.
Spanish Gold.
Spanish Gold. There you go. Didn't it have a pirate ship on the front of it or something on the packet, if I remember? Galleon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sweet coconut tobacco.
Dave, and
Made
that
by
any since
Barrett's.
I bought my first car in 21. Sadly, Dave, I was one of these that was real bad back in the day. I had, from the age of about 17 till I was in my 20s, I had 3 bans for drink driving. Never hurt anybody or anything, just that I was over the limit. I did get hurt on my motorbike once when I fell asleep and went over the handlebars. But they did level a case of assault on a police officer over that, being as though they found me unconscious in somebody's garden. I'd gone through the hedge and gone over the handlebars, and I regained consciousness. And the first thing I saw was a copper looking down at me, so I swung at him with my crash helmet and give him a good lump on the side of his head. But I've always been, ever since the last time I did it, I've always been an avid against drink driving. Candy cigarettes, yeah, I remember those, the little white ones with a little red colouring on the end of them. But can you imagine them coming out with something like now for the kids? Oh, they'd be fucking hell up. I've always smoked rollers, Dave. Always did. That's 6 weeks, actually. No, it's more than that, isn't it?
I'm not counting.
Because it was on one of my streams a few weeks back that I actually had my last cigarette.
Yeah, but I'm not counting because I've cheated occasionally, so I'm not. I
And
haven't.
once that bottle's gone in this, I shall be giving that up as well. Candy crack pipes. Yeah, but it was. You think back in the day, I mean, every program and every film or series you saw on telly, the hero was always smoking, always. And it was a big sponsor in sport as well, especially motorsport. What was the building that was tin that was orange with the building? That was Old Alban, Dave. Old Alban had an orangey tin with the building on it. Yep, I can remember them, Serality. Yeah, you can't get them 2-ounce tins anymore unless you go to a specialist tobacconist. You can still get them, but they're only specialist outlets. I mean, my biggest one, I used to smoke Sweet Afton, which I used to get when we went over to Ireland on holiday, and anytime any of the Irish relatives came over, they always used to bring me a few cartons.
I think I've got an old Hoban tin upstairs.
I got several of them out in the shed. They used to end up with nuts and bolts and washers and fishing tackle in. It used to be the thing in your fishing box. All your hooks and weights used to be in an old Alban tin. And then smoking was pushed for its health. But yeah. Yes, exactly, we were. I mean, Golden Virginia came along after Old Alban, but it was done in the same tins. Green ones. That used to be my preferred tobacco, CJ, was Old Alban. I didn't like Golden Virginia. And the nearest one I found to it, which we used to use, was, it wasn't Drum. What was the one I used to smoke? I can't even remember the fucking name of it now.
What? Drum?
The tobacco.
That Drum?
Amber Leaf.
Amber Leaf.
Desert Fox. Good evening, buddy. Old Heartburn. But back in them days, you didn't have filters to put in them, did you? Yeah, I used to prefer Old Alban. It was a bit more expensive than most. Never heard of that one, Kipper. Never heard of that one. The worst thing I ever tried to smoke was Camels. Everybody said, "Oh, do you want some Camel shit?" And to me, they actually tasted like it as well. But I'd only smoke tips if I didn't have any rollies. Well, unless someone gave you one in a pub, obviously. But yeah, it's, the way the world's changed, what you drink. I mean, nowadays, they look at you funny if you walk into a coffee shop and you just want a regular cup of fucking instant coffee. Everything's messed around with.
I've just Googled rodeo and it's come up as pipe tobacco.
Yeah, well, pipe tobacco used to be cheaper than rolling tobacco, didn't it?
Yeah, but it was also rougher, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much rougher. I can remember my old Uncle Albert. He used to have his pipe tobacco on a block, and he used to shave it off himself.
Rodeo shag smoking tobacco.
The old cider, snake bite.
I love to find snake bite.
No, I never. The only thing I used to mix in my drinks was light and bitter years ago. Good evening, Bailey. I used to like a pint of light and bitter. simply because you used to get more of it. You get nearly a whole pint of bitter and a bottle of light to go with it. I went on to lagers, and even some of those used to send me Dudali. I mean, Stella and ones like that used to make me violent, to be honest. If I had a few Stellas, I'd just go out and want to fight. And then you had the malts as well, like Colt 45, the malt lagers. Christ, that's an old one. Colt 45, fucking hell. Just remember drinking that at the penny farthing in Oxford when we used to go to watch the rock bands. Well, I did get caught nicking my mum's fags once. Surreality. And at that point, that was when she said, I think I was about 12, 13. She said, if you're going to smoke, ask for one. And she used to give me them. And she used to buy me cigarettes to take to school, believe it or not. She said she'd rather buy them for me and me smoke in front of her than me steal them or steal the money to go and buy some for myself. Bit of dash, yeah, with dash of lemonade on the top, yeah. You're drinking Black Velvet, known as an Elena Miles. Good evening, Graham. It was nice to see you on the panel Sunday night, mate. Woodbines, one packet. Was sick never again. Well, I can remember originally you used to be able to buy Woodbines in 5s, and it was 5 of them wrapped up in a little bit of brown paper, a bit of gummed paper. Showing my age now. With some of the stuff I used to put in the papers on mine, Stuart, I used to have trouble rolling them no matter where I was sometimes. Yeah, it was nice to see you back, Graham. It was, honestly.
Who mixes Cointreau with lime? No, you've got a hangover,
Baileys. No, never was a Baileys man. Yeah, Colt 45. Always remember that light blue tin.
Breaker.
Yeah, that was another malt one.
Yeah.
Breaker.
Sounded like a chocolate bar.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people used to drink it just because they were something different. What's the time? Yeah, I will be probably for the last hour, about another 10 minutes, Graham. You take offence, Roger. What else did you steal? I mean, there's not much I take offence to. Diamond White. Yeah, I used to get people mixing that with a fucking cider for the snake bites. What did they used to... I even had one used to drink it in the pub, used to always had the Guinness up and used to have to put it on the bar half hour before they wanted it so they could whip all the gas out of it before they added the cider. Yeah, no worries, Graham. No worries, mate. In fact, being as you're there, I know you don't normally hang around long, so I'll bang the link in. Where are we? Copy. Paste. Click. Pin. There you go, Graham. I'd never drunk Pernod, Stuart. I never liked the taste of it.
Love it.
Never liked it. I never used to eat aniseed sweets, to be honest. But the only spirits I used to drink was either whiskey or bourbon. I used to enjoy a Bacardi and Coke, a long glass at times in the past, but in fact, that was the first spirit I actually had was Bacardi and Coke. Yeah, no worries, Graham. If there's any comments to you in there, I'll relay them to you. Not a problem.
Aniseed is marvellous.
Yeah, it's something I've never liked. Never liked it. Never liked the smell or the taste of it.
I loved aniseed balls as a kid.
But bourbon, yeah, absolutely.
Oh yes,
First
Jenna.
many.
There was only one woman worked for the car dealership. Pat was her name. And I walked into the pub and I hadn't got a clue. And she said, "What do you want to drink?" And I went, "I don't know. I don't drink. I'm 16, for fuck's sake." And she said, "Try this." And it's like gin and orange squash.
I knew that was you, mate, by the name coming up there.
It's like gin and orange squash.
I knew that was you, mate, by the name coming up. Have you got somebody talking in the background, Graham?
Oh shit! I'm trying to turn my TV down.
Oh. I was going to say, it sounds like you've got the...
I'm trying to turn my TV down, and for some reason it's not working. Oh shit! I might have to log off and come back. I'll log off and come back.
No worries.
I love gin, but...
Pernod.
And Pernod. And Sambuca. And whiskey. And brandy.
Yeah, all it is, Gary, is Graham works on his phone, but he has YouTube on the TV. And he'd got the TV running in the background, and obviously his phone was picking it up, which creates the loop and an echo.
Nice, CJ.
All right, CJ, no worries, mate. Always welcome. You know that, buddy. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll keep watching. I tried Snaps, Dave. I didn't like it. It just wasn't the taste for me. Do you want to try your audio, Graham? Make sure you're okay there, mate.
Yeah, I was using the wrong bloody remote control to turn my telly down. I was using the one for the Wi-Fi command system, which is already turned off. I had the wrong remote in my pocket and completely fucking forgot which remote I was supposed to be using. What a wanker.
That, Jenny, believe it or not, that was an old surfer's drink. Malibu, ice cold milk with a couple of ice cubes in. Used to be absolutely beautiful. And I was drinking that myself.
I don't know about the Malibu, but milk and ice sounds nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to drink it down in Newquay. It was a surfer that he just said, I'll get you a drink and see if you like it. And I thought, I quite like a glass of milk. And I necked half this thing straight down, and I'm like, oh, that was nice.
Are we talking Newquay Cornwall or Newquay somewhere else, or Newquay Brain Ale?
Newquay Cornwall.
Aye, that's the Newquay I know.
There's two Newquays, actually. There's Newquay and Cornwall, and there's another one in Wales.
Yes, and I didn't think you were talking about Wales.
No, we've been to both.
I just had to clarify and ask. Anyway, thanks for having me on the panel.
Hey, no worries, mate. No worries.
It's really appreciated.
You're one of the old original subs. In fact, you were in, I think it was the first 5 subs that subscribed to me.
I think I was number 5. I can't remember who the first 4 were to beat me, but obviously your missus was.
Yeah, back in the day.
That's the only time she is going to get a chance to beat me in the nicest possible way, because I don't want to spoil your relationship and I'm not that kinky.
No, I always make sure cameras are off at home.
In that
I'm a
case,
naughty boy.
Graham,
I'm sorry.
in that
You can
case,
tell I've had a
Graham,
couple of beers, but
I've beaten you to a lot of things if you're not that kinky.
I'm definitely in Kent, and yes, I'm sure you have because you've been around 1 or 2 years longer, and you've got more experience. But I'm catching
No,
up.
I meant
Oh,
with
yes.
Roger. I meant with Roger. Never mind.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about life experience.
Yeah, look, I used to work in the pub down in Nuki Paulette. I used to do the door on one of them. That was one of our regulars, and I also used to work behind the bar in there. Used to take
I
over
could just
the bar.
imagine you being a bouncer and being a biker. Hard as heck.
Yeah, and behind the bar, I was no different. Gives away full. Yep, sound mate. Good evening, buddy.
Afternoon to you all. Thank you.
Better
How's it?
early
Carry on
evening,
with
isn't
your
it?
conversation first there, as you said. I'll sit here on the side of me, man.
Oh, we've got the Irish connection in.
Yeah.
Respect.
Paul does follow me as well as Nathan and that, and I follow them.
Sure.
You
No,
know.
I've heard of this guy's channel. Even though I'm not subbed, I'm subbed to so many that I had to not allow YouTube to 100% take over my life, which is why
Yeah,
I've unsubbed from quite a few. And I've been doing my Gran Turismo on PlayStation and just taking time away from YouTube because it gets
Well,
too much sometimes.
you needed it, didn't you? Was it last year or the year before we had a big talk about it for a few weeks? And
Yes, Roger, and this is absolutely quite right for you to bring that up. You had to rein me in because I was over the top with my
it was putting
with
you
my
in a
contact.
bad place. It was putting
I
you
was
in a
over the
bad
top
place.
with my contacts, and I was wrong. You corrected me. Not a lot of people know that I am on the spectrum, but I make no secret of it. And you made allowances, Roger, and 100% respected. You never ever blocked my direct contacts, if that makes sense.
No, not
You
at all.
trusted me to rein myself in, and I thank you for that.
No, not a problem. I mean, I've had several people that got in touch and said, look, I'm going to drop out. I dropped out myself that time for a couple of months because I ended up in a bad place.
We all have a
Yeah.
point where we have to sort of take, time out and stuff, and
Yeah,
I'm sort of in that place at the moment, but I'm trying to sort of still socialise up to a point, but on my terms, if that makes sense.
yeah. You moderate what you do on there, and the time.
And
you
only
spend
with people that I know and trust, whether it be the host or other people on the panel or whatever. Yeah. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
PSN, I lovely Dag. I love Dags.
I mean, I do the same, like as you know. The Wi-Fi and the internet stays behind as soon as I walk out the door. My phones aren't connected or anything. The only time I'm on the internet is on the desktop.
And quite rightly, and I will quote something that Roger did say to me. I'm on fucking holiday, leave me the fuck alone. He was quite right. I was out of order. He was quite right. I was wrong.
I'm the same when I'm up there now. Yes, I'll have the laptop on in the evenings if we're back, just to see if there's any comments, emails, catch up with people. And if something interesting happens or whatever, I may put the odd video out over the fortnight. But other than that, I tend to try and stay away from the internet while we're up there.
Yeah, fair play.
That's what holidays for. You take a break from everything.
Can I say something? Graham, I think you got that reaction because we had literally just arrived when the text message came in, and he was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
Again, I get that, whether you just arrived or not, but I know that in hindsight, I was over the top, and again, for which I apologise 100%. I was at fault.
You did it the time, and the apology was accepted in the way it was given, and there was no problem with that, buddy.
Just something to joke about now.
Yeah, it's in the
We
past.
can look back at it and laugh.
Yeah, and you weren't the only one. I'll be honest, you weren't the only one.
Well, fair play. Fair play.
I get a lot of Yeah, I'll turn the computer on when I get up in the morning, and I will get a lot of messages and texts on my phone. The only reason my phone used to go upstairs was when my mum and dad were ill, and that was for emergencies, obviously, from the family. But now, once I've switched off on here and I go to bed, that's it. My phones stay down here. I don't get nothing through them or anything.
Sure. And again, I made the mistake of contacting you out of business hours per se. I know I do sometimes do so, but within reason, you've accepted that if it was important, I'd text you. Otherwise, I'd leave you the feck alone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're one of very few that has actually got my personal number. As you know, I don't give that out readily.
I know it's a privilege, pal. It's a privilege, and I thoroughly appreciate that. I nearly lost that privilege. So again, thank you for never blocking me
You're still on the
and
list.
bugging me off. You know,
your texts and that still come through, mate. Don't worry.
apart from the ones that oh no, that's comments on your channel, which the faceless cowards decide to delete frequently.
Yeah,
I'm not the only one.
That is one thing, people. When you're commenting on videos and that, I don't get any alerts whatsoever when people comment now. The faceless cowards see to that. So if I don't get back to you straight away, or the comment's been removed, if I do find it, if I do see it, I do check and I do reply.
There used to be a loophole. Now, admittedly, Roger, I think up to a point you sort of blame me for that, but it was being documented on other channels at the same time, and I was stupid enough to repeat my knowledge in public chat on your channel, for which again I apologise.
That avenue does open now and again, but I don't get as many on it. Or they're late. You know, I might get them the next day.
Worst case scenario, there's always email, I guess.
Roger, you got my love heart removed.
I'm too honest with my own good sometimes. I know that.
No, you're all right, mate. You're all right. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, happy birthday, Paul.
Yes, happy birthday, Paul. What actual age is it, mate?
I'm 56. Don't pay attention to that.
So should we all break into song? Happy birthday to you.
Oh, you
Happy
won't get me
birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Paul. Happy birthday to you.
What can I
God,
say,
I haven't
man?
done karaoke for ages.
You're sung that to me in years, so thank you very much.
No problem. I'll sing all the right notes, just not necessarily in the right order. That's more my voice, isn't it?
It's definitely not a deep fake stream, Bailey.
The ex that came up here to my house, all the way from his own home there, was actually CJ Audits. That he was up beating the door this morning. Opened the door, that's the first thing I got.
Well, I would have thought you'd have been down the pub if it's your birthday.
Sorry?
I thought you'd have been down the pub.
No, man, I don't drink, so I couldn't give a shit about drink. I gave up on that a long, long time ago, man.
Teetotalers. They're people that suffer from thirst instead of enjoying it.
I won't say teetotal. I could buy a case of beer. I could stay in my fridge there for anything from a month to 3 months. Lord, Darryl, he would come up there and take it. I would only ever take about, I would take a notion, one beer, and that's a notion of me.
Unfortunately for me, it's a bloody full-time job.
No, it's not only that. It's because I had the XGV Class 1 license as well, and that sort of ways knocked it. And a lot of years ago out in Crete, I wanted a 12-hour bender of tequila. I was fine with tequila. I was fine. But somebody reached me a Iraqi, and I ended up and nearly killed a big tall Greek man for no reason whatsoever. And that was that. I nipped it in the bottle.
It's not worth losing your living for, is it?
It's not, man. That's another reason why I never even bought an armed motorbike years ago, was fear of losing the license, because driving on lorries and 40 mile an hour on normal roads, 50 on a dual carriageway, 60 on a motorway, and it could be bye-bye license at any time. You know the crack there.
Yeah.
Well, you've obviously got more respect for your license than some people have. I mean, the number of LGV drivers that still, even now, 2 years or so after the law changed, still using their mobile phone for interactive communication, da-di-da-di-da,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, now, some people love or hate cycling, Mikey, but hey, I tell you what, him and others, I'll sort of get where they're coming from, yeah?
They're doing the police's job for them.
Yeah, that's because the old bill can't be bothered. I mean, how come that keep left sign at Gandalf Corner or whatever, for example, has been decriminalised? Is it because too many MPs and the other shithouses in power have been caught doing it? Genuine
They don't
question.
drive most
Makes
of
you
them.
wonder.
It's actually one thing I actually loved there whenever I was driving the lorries was actually looking down and watching a police officer drive past. He was in the other motor, they're sitting there texting away or the mobile phone. Earpieces, nothing wrong with Bluetooth.
Yep. Well, we went to Sweden. I mean, this was many years ago. I met a load of Swedish bikers when we were drag racing. When we went drag racing at Santa Pod, and they invited us over. Yeah, the money some of them guys have got. It was a club. What was the club name? Sophia Hogs.
Yeah.
Now, they met us from the airport. Obviously, we flew over. We didn't ride over. They lent us bikes to ride. They paid the insurance for us to ride on the bikes.
Sweet, that's respect.
We went to the clubhouse,
Big time.
and there was a big fenced-off compound. And I'm like, well, what's that? He said, well, you got to put your bikes in there. So, yeah, all right, fair enough, security. He said, no, what it is, he said, over here, I don't know if the law's still the same there, but there were no drink driving whatsoever over there at the time. If you even had the smell of alcohol on your breath, that was your license gone. And what they used to do, you put your bike in there when you were partying, and you weren't allowed to take your bike out of there until you passed the breathalyzer, and the club used to breathalyze you.
You see,
That's
well,
not an
whenever I drove-
unreasonable scenario, to be fair. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And,
whenever I
you
drove
know,
there- sorry,
sorry,
Robert.
Paul. Go on, mate.
No, whenever I was out there driving in France, I had to carry two. Now, even although I didn't drink or anything out there, but I would have brought wine back right enough. Paper takes over there. We had to carry 2 breathalyzers with us by French law
Yes.
at all times. And I think that should be compulsory in the UK, big time. But then again, the police should have them in their cars whenever they're off duty. But anyway.
Yep. That one, Gary. I'll tell you a story about that now.
Oh, yeah, let us say
No.
drag racing.
I
Good
had
one.
never heard of RuPaul. Okay. You know what RuPaul is on the TV.
Yeah.
And I saw it advertised in a magazine, and all I saw was drag racing. I didn't look at the name. I just saw drag racing. I thought, oh, there's drag racing on tonight. And I've clicked on it. I thought I'll give it time to get going because there's going to be a load of talking about cars and shit. And I clicked on it, and there's these guys walking up and down in drag on this walkway. Like what the fuck? Is it been cancelled or what? And then it come on to it, and RuPaul's Drag Race. It says drag racing. Where's the fucking cars? Like, I didn't have a clue, mate.
Well, what a
I'll
drag.
tell you one thing. It broke my heart whenever I found out that Hell's Angels down there in Banbury sold that there. Because that there was absolutely one of the best big venues I've ever seen in my entire life. Loved that down there at Banbury.
Yeah, we used to go to the White Horse in Bristol, which is at Hell's Angels pub. They were great guys. Never had an issue with them. Used to go to the Kent show. Bulldog Bash.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The Bulldog Bash. Like this other man here, you look at him, people, if he was on a bike, ordinary people sit back and go,
Yeah.
Bikers are the best people you will ever have around you, and they will go out of their way to help you.
The old thing they used to say is when a biker does bad, everybody knows. When a biker does good, nobody wants to know.
That's true, man. That's true.
You know, when you see a lot of these, especially in America, you get a lot of these big runs with thousands of them. Now, a lot of people don't know most of those runs are charity.
Yeah.
They're all for charity.
They still do a lot of runs here, the Easter run, a doggy run, and all that there.
Yep.
Here, I'm just going to shout out here. If anybody's writing comments up there for me to read there, I'm not reading comments here at the moment while I'm on. And normally,
Okay, mate,
normally
no
I would
worries.
have one of the other lads on here reading. These boys here don't read. Well,
No, it's all right. I'm just in this comment.
Like I say, I don't have the privilege of being able to read comments while I'm on StreamYard, so it is what it is.
But there is a big run, bike run coming off, a big ride out. A lot of people have heard of them. The hairy bikers, the chefs.
Oh God, yeah.
Dave died from cancer a little
Oh.
while back. Now they're having a run all the way from London up to Cumbria in his honour.
nice touch. Nice
So
touch.
there's going to be, they'll probably come up the M1, M6, whatever. Yeah, that's going to be a sight to see. You know?
That would be, man. That would be. Respect to them all for that. That's good. That's good respect.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for a chef to get that level of respect from people on bikes, it's going to be an amazing thing. I mean, sometimes I do wish I still rode, but physically, I just wouldn't be able to hold a bike up at the moment. I'd be dangerous on one, especially when I get a bit of brain fade and.
You know, what actually pissed me off about the Bulldog Bash after that, that's all because one of my ambitions was actually to get the 1600 VMAX Monster and sort that out into a chain, get rid of the shaft and add nitros in it and go up that direct strip around. That's all I wanted to do.
It got renamed several times. It went from Avon Park Raceway. It ended up as Shakespeare Raceway, Shakespeare County Raceway. It's been shut for quite a few years now. It's derelict.
As I just heard they sold it over and there was no more events after that there.
Yeah.
It was absolutely one of the best.
It wasn't that long after Eddie Kidd had his big accident there. The stunt rider.
Eddie, how many accidents did Eddie Kidd not have?
Yeah, but he's moving about now, but he was totally paralysed after that.
The last time I saw Eddie Kidd featured on media in any way, shape, or form was when he had to do when he did London Marathon, but he was doing it like 100 meters at a time or something, and he was transported to and fro, previous starting point, next starting point, and da-di-da. It took him, I can't remember how long, but hey, fair play, you know.
I can remember him as a teenager riding with a display team called the Cyclomaniacs.
He was over here a long time. Now, his
first big jump. Yeah, his first big one that media showed was a record jump over buses. He was supposed to have been caught in a sheet because the runoff area wasn't long enough. He hit the guys that were holding the sheet, and one of them was his father, and he actually broke his father's leg when the bike went into the.
Oh.
But yeah, he was doing it for a lot of years as a kid.
It took him 43 days. It was back in 2011.
There you go. 43
Thank
days.
you, Heather. Thank you, Heather, for that. I knew it took him a while.
Yeah.
Respect, mate. Respect.
But he used to go up against the Americans like Rex Blackwell and people like that.
And there's
that was way back in my early days. That was. But I remember him with the Cyclomaniacs. It was run by, oh God, what was the name? Dave. He's a stunt arranger, or he was for a lot of years. He used to do TV stunts and arrange stunts. I can't remember his surname now.
Oh,
But
no
he used to
idea.
run car stunt shows as well. Because they did, I'll tell you who he did do a lot of arranging for was Noel Edmonds when he used to
Oh.
arrange stunts.
Gotcha.
He used to work with them, and he did a lot on Casualty as well. Funny enough, in and around Bristol. I can't remember his surname.
Who's that? Sorry, I'll Google it.
Dave, something his name was.
And what did he do?
He was a stunt arranger.
Stunt.
That's going to be a difficult one to Google, I must admit.
What?
Well, if you put stunt arranger for the program
Dave
Casualty,
Dave Judge.
No, it wasn't Judge.
Anders.
No,
Holmes. No, he's an actor. Foreman.
no. If you say the name, I'll remember it. But
Yeah.
I remember meeting him in Bristol when I was living there because I pulled up to pick up my girlfriend from the place she was a chef at, the girlfriend at the time.
Let's put UK in because
And all of a sudden, there's a knock on the window of the car. And he's like, "All right, Psycho." I looked up. What the fuck are you, Dave? No, not Taylor. And it was him, like, and I'm like, what the fuck? I haven't seen you for over 20, 30 years. You know? But he remembered me.
You must have made an impression.
Yeah.
David Holmes, Dave Judge, Dave Garrick, Dave Foreman
No,
are coming up as the UK stunt coordinators.
no.
The one that broke everybody's heart here was King of the Rose, and that's Jordan Lop, the Gark. He's gone, 13 years now.
Yeah, I'm still. My brain's going mental now. I'm trying to remember his fucking name.
Dave Boy.
Actually, in my photographs, I used to have some. He arranged a world record car jump at Santa Pod by a woman driver, and his name was on the side of the fucking van. I can see the car jumping, but I can't remember the name.
It'll come to you later, Roger, when you're not thinking about it, probably.
It'll keep me awake now, and it'll come to me at about 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, that's years ago. That is fucking hell.
Memories. Some good, some bad.
Evil Knievel was still alive back then, you know.
Cool, bloody hell, that's going back. 1977 was the last time I heard of him. Or thereabouts. Didn't he jump the Grand Canyon? Or attempt to?
Yeah, that was the rocket cycle.
Yeah.
That was never going to happen. And it wasn't actually the Grand Canyon. They wouldn't let him do it. He done Snake Canyon.
Roger, you see, whenever you actually say about a rocket cycle, the mates went over to Daytona. It was Oktoberfest over there. Seen the video, and all what I heard in this video before I even seen it was an actual airplane jet engine. This guy turned a jet engine into a motorbike over there. Yeah. And the noise of that, wow.
Well, there's actually a French guy. He still rides it, actually. It's a rocket bike. A hydrogen peroxide rocket bike.
Whoa.
It's not Elton John, even though he's known as Rocket Man.
Yeah. No, he's a French guy. Again, I can't remember his name. The one that rode a jet engine bike was, I think he was an Austrian guy called Henk Vink. There you go. I remember that one. But there is actually a guy. Now, this one I'd never heard of. And I couldn't believe it when I fucking saw it. I'd seen it advertised that a guy was going to drag race a mountain bike against a Ferrari. And this guy, he'd got a motorbike with a rocket engine on it. A hydrogen peroxide rocket engine. And this guy was pissing all over these supercars and everything.
Well, the power to weight ratio of a motorcycle at the best of times is usually better than most four-wheel conveyances.
Yeah, it's just memories from the past, you know, things we used to. What's his name? I saw a bike jump in front of the moon in ET. Yeah.
God,
Fair enough,
ET phone home, mother's waiting. That was actually left as a message in the AA somewhere.
Yeah. But that was totally out of character because ET was in the basket and it was a BMX bike, and I don't know anybody that would fit a basket to a BMX bike. Eric Tabul, thank you, Brian. Thank you. Yep, that's who the French guy that rode the rocket bike, Eric Tabul.
You didn't have
saw him
did
at
you ever
Santa
see
Pod a few
the
times.
did you ever see the race between the racing lorry and the Porsche a lot of years back there? The Porsche was left away back there, like so it was whenever it came down to the articulated.
They did have a rocket propelled lorry.
Yeah, seen out there one of those.
Driver was the one that used to drive the wheelie car. Steve Murty was his name. He's dead now, but his father or his son, I believe, drives the wheelie truck up there now, the wheelie car. But he was the first one to fit a rocket engine to a lorry. And it was it was an engine out of an English Electric Lightning, funny enough.
No, I used to actually try and take aircraft parts down there to Rolls Royce over in Derby, where they build engines for planes, and then they all go on out to Toulouse there.
Thank you very much, Brian. There you go. Less than 5 seconds to do a quarter mile at nearly 300 mile an hour.
Whoa,
Wow.
Whoa.
I was surprised the poor bugger didn't suffer from whiplash or whatever.
It's it was the fastest thing on the drag strip. The only thing that could match it was an American guy called Sammy Miller with his rocket car, Oxygen.
I would love to see somebody hang on to a big rope and the end of that and a set of rollerblades.
Well, Sammy Miller had 2 rocket cars, one called Oxygen, and what was the other? Vanishing Point. One was a long, thin, proper dragster shape,
Yeah.
and the other one was a funny car with a full body on it. Now, we had a driver up there, an English guy called Bootsy Herridge, Alan Herridge. He's dead now. He was killed in a jet car. And Sammy offered him one of the cars so they could run 2 side-by-side rocket cars. And Alan actually beat him in his own car. But what stuck in my mind that weekend was Sammy Miller come down what they called the Fire Up Road, which is where they tow the car down in front of the crowd before it goes on to the start line. So everybody gets to see the cars. And he actually run into the back of his tow car because he had no brakes.
That's embarrassing.
This guy's about to go up the track at fucking 400 mile an hour and the blasted thing's got no brakes.
Oh, lethal. One of the mates there is a biker, plus lorry. Well, I got Mandy lorries a lot of years ago. And his golden rule is the brakes should not be touched.
Hello, Craig. It's Craig, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hi, Panda. How are you doing, buddy? Yeah, Vanishing Point was another one. That's a cult movie, that one.
Yeah, 1970 George Challenger.
Yeah. Fucking
brilliant movie.
And the character's name was Kowalski.
Kowalski, yeah, ex-cop. Yep.
It came out, it was along the lines of, say, 2-Lane Blacktop and movies like that.
Yeah, there were quite a few of that genre at the time, weren't there? All good, though. All good.
Yeah. Well, the original
None of this...
60 Seconds was back then as well.
Oh, truth. None of this CGI crap and everything. Everything was as filmed.
No. The thing we got, the original Gone in 60 Seconds, it got the world record for writing off the most number of cars in any movie at the time. It was filmed, a lot of it was filmed on public streets while the public was still driving on them. There's several accidents in it you can see where the public are actually involved in the accident. you can see crews running in the background to get these people out of these fucking crash cars. And they got how anybody was never killed in the filming of it, I don't know. But it was the same model of car as in the Nicolas Cage one. But
Oh, that was a souped up Shelby Mustang, I think.
yeah, that it was a Shelby Mustang with Nicolas Cage. It was the GT500. But in the
Not
original
the 350. Okay.
in the original one, it was a 351 Cleveland Mach 1 Mustang, a yellow one. Because I bought a Mach 1 Mustang when I was able to afford one, simply on the premises I liked the shape of it, and I saw it first of all in that film. So I went out and bought one, a black one. But yeah, that was a Mach 1 351 Cleveland engine in it.
You know what they say, Roger? Once you've had black, you never go back. Boom.
That's actually not true.
No, I wouldn't know. I've never entertained a BBC, either on the telly
BBC?
or in
Who are
person.
they?
I mean,
Who's the BBC? I don't pay to watch their propaganda.
Yeah, you know something. You see what you were talking about there in the chats there about the things away back there what you can't get now. Well, not even years ago. People never really gave a shit about their safety. They just fire a leg over a bike and away you go.
Oh, you see some of the wrecks I used to ride and drive, mate.
One of them won't be an X7, would it?
No.
Oh, they were crazy. They were crazy, man.
But the roads were empty compared to today.
The X7 was billed as the first 100 mile an hour 252 stroke.
Yeah, Yamaha.
Two-stroke.
Bloody dangerous bike.
And the one that took over from it was the LC Yamaha.
You don't see many two-strokes around these days.
It wasn't actually Suzuki's first 250 to reach 100 mile an hour. That was given to the Suzuki Hustler, which I did have.
I brought back an old bike there for a guy back here. I got it picked up down in Worcester. It was an old 1968 Dream.
The Honda Super Dream.
The Dovetail.
Dream.
There was two. There was the Super Dream and the Dream. The Dream had the rounded peanut tank, and the Super Dream had the one with the panel and the seat was all swooped.
And the wee dovetail at the back.
Yeah.
I think they did the 250 and the 400 Honda N8 Super Dream, also colloquially known as the Wet Dream for some reason.
Yeah, well, it was. The Super Dream was known as the wet fart.
But it had a 6-speed box, and my old man's 400 was all right. It was good for a ton. But unlike most Japanese bikes, it popped a fucking valve or something in the cylinder at 6,000 miles. And wow, very unusual for a Japanese bike that had been running properly.
Very unusual. No, sorry, Graham. All right, Holly, no worries, darling. Sorry, it's Lost Souls on her other account.
Hello, Lost Souls.
Yeah, the biggest problem with those Hondas was if your battery was flat or you broke down, because they had no kickstart. They were all electric start.
Oh, God, yes, I remember. Yes. In fact, I remember one day.
They were the first ones to bring one out with the 400 with an automatic gearbox.
Was that known as Honda-matic?
It was a Honda 400 Super Dream that they bought out. It didn't sell. It was a piece of crap, and it had a 4-speed automatic gearbox.
Oh, the only one I remember was the Honda-matic 2-speed, but I'm probably totally mistaken there, but fair play.
But there was a motocross bike that was an automatic, and that didn't work very well either. That was a Husqvarna.
Husqvarna, that's Swedish or Finnish, mate? Something like that, yeah?
Husqvarna is Swedish.
Right, okay.
I think it was Swedish.
I know less about bikes than I do about cars.
But yeah, they did it was a 360. It had a little lever as a clutch for starting, and then it had 4-speed automatic. It's amazing what things I can remember.
Jeez,
think
who,
useful.
who didn't own a Super Dream bike years ago, man?
I never owned one, mate. Never owned one.
Hands up, I did. Loved them. Loved them.
My mate had me ride round the block on one of his, and I just give it back to him. Don't ever let me on that thing again.
Roger, the police pulled me one time for speeding in the Super Dream. I was white lining between the two-way traffic. Well, no, they were having a hard job catching me. Like, I made sure as usual, Craig, no murders on the motorbike. Cops pulled me, £20 fixed penalty for speeding. I rode off laughing because I had no license, tags, or insurance. I only got the bike MOT a week before and registered my name.
It's a shame he's not in here, actually. There's a mate of mine that'll tell you the story. We got pulled up riding back from the pub one night, but we didn't have our helmets on, and that's why they pulled us up. And it was by a copper on a BMW. Now, this copper stood there and he's going through the laws and all this, that, and the other. But the biggest mistake he made is he left his key in his bike. So
did someone liberate it?
So nuts here is on his fucking BMW and off up the road. But then I made a very big mistake because I bought it back 10 minutes later and picked out all the faults that were fucking wrong with it.
Oh, so you didn't liberate it, you just borrowed it?
Yeah. And I bought it back and told him what a piece of shit it was. And by the way, did you know they have to modify it before it passes the British MOT, which they did at the time. A lot of it was illegal.
Go Bennett.
And he tried to do me for drink driving. I said, well, no, because I haven't been drinking. Although he did nick the driver for it, because I was on a pillion at the time. And I had to sit by the side of the road for 6 hours waiting for him to release me mate so he could come back, get him on the fucking bike to get me up.
Roger, don't even go there. You want to see the shape of one of the mates, and I watched the other mates lifting him onto the motorbike. That man couldn't even stand. They held the motorbike up for him, and away he went. We heard about him going through a village at 120 odd mile an hour.
If anybody's wondering what that's all about, that was a nickname because Craig's a mate of mine down in Cornwall. Known him for years. It was a nickname. Somebody called it me one night, a young lady, and he heard them. So he was quite happy to go around the pubs telling everybody that my new nickname was Fluffy Bunny.
Psycho's got a new name. It's
Fluffy Bunny.
Well, I don't know about Fluffy, Roger, but on a good day, you can be a little bit Chaz and Dave, full of rabbit, as can I. Bum.
Absolutely, mate.
That's what I love about you, mate.
That's who you make me on.
I mean, I could be referred to as a see you next Tuesday, but as long as I'm your kind of see you next Tuesdays, it's all good. If I'm not, then I'm going to get kicked off the panel, aren't I?
Well, there you go. That's how rough I used to look in my youth. I was a teenager then.
Bloody hell.
Look at the tents. Look at the tents.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it was an ex-scout tent.
Right.
And people say, people would look at that and say you look a bit like Rob C. Nesbitt in the younger days.
God. I'll tell you what, if I'd seen that image before, I'd say, do you like Dag, or do you prefer caravans in periwinkle blue? Don't ask. You know what movie I'm on about.
You all carry on.
Yeah.
So let you be there. Let somebody else on there. A pleasure and an honour, and thank you again, as usual, Malker. I'll just let you know I did get it all posted up there in the group on my own page there as well, Malker. So thank you.
You're
thank
always welcome up on here, Paul. Always welcome.
Respect to your PCNI. Respect, buddy.
Enjoy the rest of your birthday.
Well,
aye.
The only people I'm enjoying that way, I'm not even calling people, is the two lads that's here. The man that was sitting up here with me. You have a very, very good one.
Take care, mate.
Mrs. W.
All the best.
All the best.
Peace,
And
love,
happy
and
birthday.
respect.
Birthday.
On-
And
on
most
my
of the
love to you
comments
all
were,
there, and thank you
beautiful
very, very much.
puppies.
Take care, buddy. You look after yourself. What we got going on in the chat here? Get these stand up here. You don't drink, Gary. You don't drink, mate. But
That was
yeah,
emotional. That was
Yeah.
emotional. That was good. That was good.
he's a good guy. Him and
Aye.
his lads over there, they get persecuted left, right, and centre by the Gardaí. Well, Pearson, Northern Ireland, they're not the Gardaí.
I mean, I might have seen a little bit of his footage featured on Pap's channel before, so it's obviously a guy that I'm aware of. I just simply have not got enough hours in the day to subscribe to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, Pap's been, he's in and out all the time now anyway with what he's got on. So,
Yeah,
But
sure.
no-
Did you hear anything about why his vid got taken down? I mean, there was a whisper that YouTube deemed it inappropriate, but
no, it was
as opposed to him taking it down, I wasn't sure.
medical misinformation.
Oh, is that their alleged reason for taking it down?
Yeah.
Medical misinformation.
And they gave him a strike for it as well, unfortunately.
Absolute wankers. Excuse my French.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there, mate.
Medical misinformation. Well, I didn't hear any medical misinformation, but then to be fair, I wasn't on the stream all night and I disappeared before you did.
There was a bit of medical information being bantered backwards and forwards. I didn't censor any of it in the chat.
But that might have been down to the subscriber's point of view rather than the host's point of view.
I would say it was more to what somebody said on the panel.
Which I wasn't privy to, sorry.
Yeah, I was talking about certain medical things. So was a couple of others. I know it didn't come from me because, as you know what I'm like with medical, I got a couple of videos pulled down myself for it. So
Sure, I do remember,
always very careful about what I say on medical things. But the conversation did dive back to back during the COVID thing and the lockdowns and stuff like that. So they may have picked up on something in there that they didn't agree with. But as far as
this is what gets me here, Roger. This is what gets me. Even if someone is quoting from the government's website and this and that, they're still getting shut down for bringing it to people's attention.
I'm sure Dan will be appealing.
That there from Brian is probably bang on point, because there are people, as we know, that watch Dan's stream and mine, even though I've only had just over 40 in at one point. There are people in the background there that will pick up on things and they will report it to YouTube and complain about it. You know what people are like with Dan.
In other words, they're doing anything and everything they can to take him out of the equation.
Yeah.
And I wonder if some of them are actually probably Plod.
Nothing. It's all surprise, mate.
Me.
But I don't think Plod would do that. That is more to some of Dan's trolls. He still argues with a lot of people out there. And this is why I don't allow that sort of thing to go on in here. Yes, I know they're in the background, but as you know, I keep this channel clean. I don't do anything that'll put it in jeopardy. I've had complaints put in once or twice before and explained the situation to YouTube. They said, oh, yeah, absolutely fine. And my appeal went through. But back during the day when I got my 2 videos pulled down, both under medical misinformation guises, as I've said before, it wasn't misinformation. I'd just gone through the wrong route to get that information out. So they picked that up. I'd given a link to an item rather than a link to the direct item, because it should have passed the censors, because it was from Health Scotland, which is part of the National Health.
Well,
and
anything
that came from them was perfectly viable on the air.
It was the page that you linked
It was
to
the page that I'd
issue.
listed to that article.
God, any which way they can to try and shut people down, it's taken a bomber, man.
Well, everybody really now, I mean, even my videos that I do during the week. Well, I can show you there. I write all my notes out, and I'll go through those notes, and I'll even watch the video back before I post it to make sure that I haven't inadvertently put any information in there that could be picked up on. We know a lot of the COVID things you can talk about now because it's been proved. A lot of it's been proved. But although YouTube will still take you down and you still have to go through, because they just see you as guilty until proven innocent. So even during the appeals process, you still have to jump through fucking hoops.
Which, with yours and my physical condition, is pretty difficult.
Yeah, well, this is, I mean, Gary said the whiteboard. Well, that, Gary, it's not just for YouTube. As you can see, I've got a calendar on there. I've got appointments cards. It's literally because my strokes affected my short-term memory. And if I write it down on a bit of paper, put it somewhere, I forget where I've put the bit of paper.
You've lost your book.
Yeah, I've got a notepad here that I used to put notes on, and I lost the notepad. So if it's on there, I write it down, I stick it straight on there, and that is always there. So I can't misplace it. And if I forget something, I'll look at it and think, oh yeah, I've got that. You know, or I've got that hospital appointment for my treatment or whatever. And that's how I work my memory now. It's
and I'm certainly not going to take the piss out of you for that, Roger, because I forget things if I write things down. Then I've got to, like you say, remember where I've put my fucking notes. I've got a table. I'll show you briefly without doxing too many details. There might be a slight delay on the main screen TV, but I've got notes left, right, and centre. And a lot of them, okay, it's nothing to do with this channel. It's to do with the Gran Turismo 4 game that I recently picked up, and I kept notes and bits and bats. And things like Final Fantasy X, I used to keep notes and pages of documentation and bits and bats. And sometimes I go looking back for my notes. Can I find them? Can I feck? I know they're here somewhere. It's organised chaos with me.
Well, I've got loads and loads of information that, you know, when I'm doing my research and I'm looking at things, I'll I'll download it or I'll copy it, and I'd put it in a file somewhere and forget which file it was in. Now on my laptop, I've got hundreds of files, and when I first started doing it, before I learned how to use the computer properly, as Heather pointed out to me, I didn't put any titles on the fucking files. So my biggest one is I've got about, I think it's just over 1,000 mountain biking videos. Now I can remember things on some of them, but I'd have to go through all them files to try and find 30 seconds of footage because I never used to title them. And that's something.
So it might come up as IMDb this or da-da-da-da-da that, just random file names to which you've got no recollection of what the contents are.
Yeah.
Yeah? I know that fucking feeling all too well, mate.
Well, I've got a 12 terabyte hard drive there. And Heather tried to go through it one night to try and sort my files out because some were corrupted. What's this? What's this? What's the I don't fucking know. You'd have to look at it. You tell me, you know.
12 terabytes. Is that called being attacked by vampires? Oh, no, but don't ask.
Well, I've got a 12 terabyte one, and I've also got a 5 terabyte one, because what I do is, because I've said years ago when I started doing my videos, I want to keep them as like a video diary to pass on at some point. So what I do is once, maybe every 2-3 weeks, I download all my YouTube videos onto that. So it's like a video diary, as it were, along with other videos as well, personal ones and stuff like that. But yeah, it's 1,200 views. Well, I think it did
It's
say,
memories and documentation for not so much your kids, but the grandkids and that. Yeah, that's
yeah.
part of the reason why I seem to remember you started this channel to have memories for the younger generation and
Yeah,
to document history of bits and bats
because my
for them
channel
and future
started
generations to see
lockdown.
what we've been living through from
Yeah,
2019, 2020 or whatever onwards.
I fired them up. I started the channel just before lockdown, and
Yes,
I
I vaguely
started
remember.
off
Yeah,
thinking, right, if I put them all on there in the future, if someone wants to see what we went through, what we were thinking about it all at the time. I mean, there's a lot on there that I've never posted because I used to go out walking for 2 or 3 hours every day, and I always had my GoPro on. You crazy little sex tapes.
I do remember some of your walkabout videos actually, Roger, and it was nice to see a little bit of peace,
Yeah.
quiet, and tranquility, and birdsong and bits and bats.
Some on there that are 2, 3
Long lost
hours
sex
long.
tapes. What the fuck?
When I used to go walking about with my GoPro just on my chest, just talking to myself, and they're all on there and stuff like that.
And the drive up to the holiday.
Oh yeah, I've got hours of driving up to Cumbria and the chat that we had in the car and the banter that goes on in there.
I remember you had a near miss on one occasion, didn't you?
Oh, it wasn't a near
Some
miss, mate.
Muppet
I actually
driver or two.
running to the back of a pickup.
I don't remember seeing you running at the back of a pickup, but I do remember some other dodgy shenanigans that you posted.
A young buzzard that flew across, jumped out the hedge in front of the car. That was up in the Lake District. And I just managed to swerve enough. I thought I hit it, but I'd swerved enough and I just missed it. That was a buzzard. Yeah, I did post that one.
I'm sure I've seen something else where you had near misses or whatever with what could have been RTCs, RTAs, whatever they call them these days.
Yeah, the main one was when I run into the back of a pickup, and that was literally my fault. I put my hands up to the driver I hit. There was no damage to his pickup because I hit his tow bar.
I don't remember that one. You'll have to link that video to me later.
And it put a little dent in our plastic bumper. But yeah, I pulled over. I was rubbernecking. I wasn't watching what was going on. A car had switched lanes in front of us after we'd gone past an accident, a fire. And obviously the 2 cars in front of me, I could see what had happened after I'd watched the video when we got home. This car had pulled in front of the car in front of the pickup, which caused them to slow down
significantly.
But we were all accelerating after going past the lorry fire. And I was still looking back to see what was going on. And before I know it, this pickup had slowed down in front of me. And
at least we don't need Ashley Neal to analyse it then.
No, it was totally my fault. It wasn't any much more than 20 mile an hour when I hit him. He was a very nice guy, actually. And I left the video running when we pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at he was more worried about the damage we'd done to our car. And I said, well, look, it was my fault, mate. Hands up. I run into the back of you. No 2 ways about it. And he said, well, there's no damage yet. We shook hands and didn't exchange anything and went on our way.
Happy days. So it doesn't affect your no claims discount or nothing. That's a result.
It was nice to actually have a result. Yeah, it's not nice to have an accident. But the fact that it was all good, we shook hands, there was no issues, there was no road rage. But, he could have quite happily jumped out and said, what the fuck do you think you were doing? What the fuck?
Oh, a lot of people would, yeah.
But he didn't. We were very, very respectful, and we just went on our ways after shaking hands. And I had it on my camera that I keep in there. I put a sports camera in the window as a dash cam. And I just thought, no, I made a mistake. it was my fault. I'm quite happy to put it out and admit that it was my fault. So I'll put it in a video, you know.
Just goes to show that there are still some decent people out there.
Yeah. You know, he could have claimed whiplash. He could have claimed anything. But he said, no, and that was what I was worried about, was he was all right. He said, no, I'm absolutely fine, you know. So, yeah, all Alamo cool and shook his hand and off we went.
No,
Shame a lot of
that's
people do the same.
big up respect there, pal. Big up respect. You know what I mean?
It was, you know, I'd straight out. Oh, sorry about that, mate. It was my fault. You know, I wasn't paying attention. I almost got it stopped, but not quite quick enough. And it was a damp road, if I remember as well, wasn't it? But
That affects the braking distance for a start. No matter how good your tyres are.
yeah, it was just a bump, and that was it. It was nothing major, as it were. Hello, is you off, Jenny? Take care, sweetheart. I mean, I'm only going to be on for another 10 minutes or so anyway. I'm surprised I reached 10 o'clock, actually.
Can we briefly, if it's not, you know, out of order, for me to briefly bring politics into it, very briefly, because I have been very much thinking hard about the situation and the recent development. Now, I take into account you might not have a lot of faith or respect or whatever for a certain figure that has just come back out of the woodwork, per se. I'll say just come out of the woodwork. Well, he's been there all along, but he was going to be going over to the States and this and that. And then he brought the Tories by surprise.
Yeah,
now,
Farage.
I know that you might not have a lot of time for him, and I respect your opinion. But with him taking the helm, that, rightly or wrongly, now, he was one of the first I recall to report on the channel crossings, for example. Way back in 2020, he got fined for, you know, breach of COVID, da-da-da. In my opinion, and I might be wrong, he's been relatively consistent with his outlook and his input. And if anyone is going to unify a party to make what I believe could be meaningful opposition to the two-tiered party that we're going through, system that we're going through at the moment, if anyone's going to pull it off, it's him.
I think Reform will get a lot of votes next month.
Yeah, they might get enough. Sorry,
they'll get enough to win. But
right,
exactly, I mirror what Sunak said last night. Anybody voting for anybody other than the Tories is basically going to be a vote towards Labour, because he knows Labour are going to get more support than the Tories. So the more that vote for him, even if they're not voting for Labour, they're taking votes away from the Tories.
Up to a point, I agree and disagree. This is what I'm thinking. If enough people decide to jump behind Reform, that will, unlike Tory, be what I believe to be meaningful opposition to maybe, let's assume worst case scenario, I've got a horrible feeling that Labour might win this.
Oh, I'm almost convinced they will.
But if enough people jump on board and vote for Reform and oust the Tories, who have totally failed our country for how long? Too long. They might be the only one that can at least help keep Labour in check. Meaningful opposition, and if enough people get behind, they might even win enough to take over.
He will.
I don't know.
And he will cause a stir. I can guarantee that.
And he's got enough charisma to pull it off as well, yeah?
Yeah, he's outspoken enough, and he don't take any bullshit. He'll say it like it is. The only thing I've never liked about him, now, he was never involved in the immigrants thing originally, but he saw how much attention it was getting from the guys that were filming down in Dover, because he
Yeah,
was
people like PW and others. Yes,
exactly.
agreed.
And he jumped on the situation. He had the money. He went down and got himself installed on one of the fishermen's boats.
He also had enough of a YouTube following to have some sort of clout as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he went out into the channel on the fishing boat, was
Yep.
filming, which was something the others couldn't do because they didn't have the
Mhm.
funding.
Sure.
And that was when the government turned round and the authorities and put in place that anybody that was hiring a fishing boat to go out there and film them, that skipper would have his fishing license taken away because they didn't want people out on the water filming them.
In other words, that's another fucking form of censorship.
Yeah.
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 Graham, I agree with you 100%. If rather than not voting, everybody voted for Farage, I think he could win.
I'm going to take this one step further. One step further. Now, admittedly, we are going back in history slightly, but obviously, when we had the initial lockdown, followed by lockdown 2, lockdown 3, that was the perfect opportunity for any floating vessel to be turned back and returned to war-torn France. I don't need to spell it out any further, do I? But no, they were still allowed, and da-di-da-di-da. I don't need to say any more, do I?
I'm convinced Labour are going to win. I
Labour
really am.
Labour probably will win because people won't vote. There's nobody they want to vote for. But if all those wasted votes all combine and vote for reform, we might actually end up either with an opposition that is going to do something and work, or a party that will do something. I think reform is the way of the future.
I think a lot of people are going to vote in a way that they're voting, so they're taking the votes away from somebody else. They want.
I think reform is the best option.
And I
genuinely believe that.
That's what I coined it as, tactical voting. They're not going to vote for who they want. They're going to vote in a way for the people they don't want. That's the way I see it happening.
In other words, up to a point, if you're faced with the option of a turd sandwich or turds on toast, which is the least palatable, no, I've offered the third option, and Heather agrees. You might disagree, but hey, this is where my vote's going tactically. Now, if there are no reform candidates in my area, then I will have no option other than to vote for an independent.
Serality, if she ever became Prime Minister, we're well fucked because nobody can understand what she says anyway. She can't string a legible sentence together, let alone have a conversation.
She was holding a microphone the other day and she couldn't keep her hand still. The microphone's wobbling and she had
I saw that footage.
People helping her back to the car because she had a problem walking. What sort of a politician is that?
Oh, but she was the first person that was black to be elected as an MP.
So
that comment actually says it all. If you look at the ones, there's a lot of them leaving the other parties now, including Labour, and quite a few of them are going over to Reform. So at the next election, yes, if they're still there and they've still got the support, they could give someone a damn good run for their money.
But that's what Farage said when he did his little hello when I'm taking over. He said, Labour have won this election. We're aiming for the next one because they haven't given them time to get things in place that mean they've got enough members out there to win. So, but if they can, I hope they do. Because what he said made perfect sense. And I know they're all liars, but he said what I wanted to hear. We want the country back and we want things reformed.
Yeah.
basically.
When it comes down to other, what I would call career politicians from whatever party they're from, that are jumping ship, sorry, they might have the experience of politics and how politics works, but do we really want people from a party that's failed us for years, that haven't necessarily stood up for the people, being involved in reform? Sorry, as far as I'm concerned, reform is reform. We
But
should not have
this is what
turncoats,
I said
career
about
politicians jumping ship. And I think you might have mentioned that already, Roger. So I think we're on the same wavelength here, pal.
well, this
We
is
need
what I
fresh
said
blood.
about Starmer yesterday at the head-to-head, the debate. Now, I don't like Starmer. I don't like what he's done in the past, and I don't like where he come from and the lies he tells.
I don't
But
trust him at all.
He said a perfect thing yesterday in that debate. Sunak accused them of not having a plan. They've had 14 years to put a plan in place. But he's answered perfectly when he said, well, you've been in charge for 14 years. You had a plan and you've done fuck all with it other than destroy things. And that summed it up perfectly.
True. But under Starmer and Labour, I cannot see any improvement. If anything, the floodgates are going to open even wider for something I dare not mention.
You
Because
got
I don't want to get
remember,
you a strike.
he was the one, Sunak, oh, you fought against all the things we were trying to do with the immigrants. Yes, but there again, people seem to forget that Starmer was the first one to stand up in court and try and did get through the rights for the immigrants to get benefits.
Thank you, Roger. I wanted to say that. You've said it for me. Thank you.
He was the first one to go to court, recognisable person, to fight for the immigrants' rights.
Well, they may have rights, and I'm not going to deny that, but what about our rights, the indigenous population, where we've got a country that is seriously overcrowded, an NHS system that's on its fucking knees, pardon my French, not just because of the extra number of people that have to be treated, but some of the wasted jobs, shall we say. I saw one advertised recently, 90 grand a year, some sort of a diversity stroke hiring type thing. Oh, what, to ensure that enough people of whatever background are hired? Sorry, it should be best person for the job, regardless of your background.
Well, the NHS...
And that's not me racist being say that, is it? I want the best person for the job. End of.
The NHS were given, was it $1 billion or $2 billion? Most of which they spent on employing over 600 diversity managers.
A waste of a job at 90 grand a year, and
They
600
were
of those
on
jobs
over
were paid for a
100
lot of
grand.
fucking nurses.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've sent
Shit, I've said too
he
much.
kept giving money to the NHS, and the NHS was spending it on the wrong people.
I'm sorry, I've
Anyway,
probably said too
I'm
much.
gonna
I hope
call
you
that-
don't get grief for this.
No, this is nothing I haven't said in my videos, mate. It's all fact.
Graham,
It's all fact.
Yes, Heather, I'm listening.
one thing before you go.
Yeah.
Have you subbed to my channel?
No, because in the nicest possible way, it's because I view that in the nicest possible way as more for the ladies.
It's for everyone.
Yeah, and
It's-
anybody
it's-
can join in.
I've put the link in now so that you can find it towards the end of the stream. I'll drop it in again. Right. at
Well,
the
get
end.
Roger to email it to me. Get Roger to email it to me or whatever. And look, I'm not promising to be involved because I'm overloaded with channels and stuff already. So I don't know how much, if any, involvement I'm actually going to have. I'm quite happy, without sounding disrespectful to you, to stick with Roger.
At the moment, she doesn't do videos. All she does is a 3-hour live on a Friday night. It is,
But the chances of me jumping on a live, the chances of me jumping on a live are slim to none. I mean, this is rare for me to do 2 lives in, the space of 4 days.
It's usually just the panel of ladies talk. I tend to keep the blokes
Sure.
going and chat with them in the chat, as it were.
Uh,
But the option's there if you want to on a Friday night. If you're not doing anything, just drop in.
fair dues. Well, look, if one of you wants to email me personally with the link, I'll sub to it. But how much inclusion I have, I'm not sure.
Fine, mate. I'll drop you an email tomorrow. In fact, I'll make a note of that now.
Okay, Kirsty.
Not a problem, Graham. I just thought it.
I didn't want to be rude to you, Heather. Please. I've had to unsub from a lot of channels, and there's a few more I'm thinking of unsubbing from, simply because the more time I spend on YouTube, the less time I've got to do my own thing in life. I need time away from YouTube. However, I thank you for the invite, and I respect the invite, and I will try to make some sort of an effort, if that makes sense, yeah?
No worries, mate.
The way things are going, I am actually thinking of doing something to voice my opinion on reform. And the fact that we are both thinking along the same lines, I was just thinking that, yeah, maybe you might bring something to that topic. That's all.
Well, I always try to bring something to the table, whether I'm right or wrong, but I will not hold back from my opinion, but do have to word what I say carefully, because I don't want a channel getting a strike or getting taken down because of my opinion.
Well, I'm a moderator in there, and if there was anything that was being said that was getting anywhere close, I'd certainly say, you know me.
You seem to know what you're talking about, and I would have. It's just an invite that if that happens, you'd be more than welcome, mate. Seriously.
Heather, thank you. That means a lot, and yeah, it means a lot.
Right. On that
You know I'm autistic.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
see things in black and white, and grey areas are something that, although I know exist, I still, despite having had the diagnosis several years ago, find it hard to recognise something called compromise. With me, I suppose it depends on what it is. But hey,
No
I
worries.
appreciate Roger allowed me to change the subject and discuss politics, which I wouldn't normally do.
Normally,
But I felt strongly
do the
enough to
politics
bring it
bit.
up.
I normally do the politics at the beginning of the stream. We get it out of the way, and it does come up
Yeah.
through the evening, so it's not a problem, mate. Not a problem at all.
Yeah, well, I was late to the party because I was actually finishing off something that I needed to finish off on Gran Turismo 4. I've now got to the point in the game where my B-Step driver is trained up to where I want it to be. After God knows how many reloads and restarts and this and that, I've got a garage full of gold license awards and bits and bats. And I'm now, from this point onwards, I'm not going to reload Gran Turismo 4 again. I'm just going to carry on with the game from where I'm at. That's after 3 months or 2 months of since I managed to get hold of a brand spanking new copy that my PlayStation 2 would read. I'm at the point where I think, yeah, I'm now going to carry on.
No worries.
I'm going to do my own thing and use my big step driver when I want to, and when I fancy a drive out myself, I'll go A-spec mode.
That's it. Right, yeah. I'm going to call that it. There's people saying goodbye in the chat.
Thank you, everyone.
Graham, nice to see you still about. You're always welcome up on the panel, mate. You know that. You always have been.
It's been emotional.
Everybody in the chat, thank you very much for coming in, supporting the channel as always. Don't forget, Mrs. W live Friday night, 7 o'clock. I probably won't do a video tomorrow because most of the subjects that I would have covered, I've covered earlier on in the stream tonight. So I might just...
Unless there's some breaking news, of course, Roger, in which case we might see you.
Yes, absolutely, mate. But to everybody in the chat, as always, thank you very much for dropping in. And stay safe.
Peace.
Stay strong. And stay free.
Love and respect. That's the one. Not everyone. It's been emotional.